All right, folks. We are live with Fred Estopier. We're going to be talking. I don't know anything. We haven't had a conversation other than the fact he told me he's going to start up. He's got a very interesting story. I'm hoping that we can go ahead and help him with a lot of questions that startup people have that nobody answers. So Fred, take it away, bro. Tell me your story.
Thank you, sir. And before we start, I want to thank you because there's no help out there except there's a online store that kind of tells you what you use chemicals for. And when I saw you, I quickly subscribed. I've been following you. I've pretty much been I've done all your videos, and I consider you my mentor. So I really appreciate.
Thank you.
I mean, even if I hadn't met you before, I consider you my mentor. You did change my mindset in how to go about doing some things,
Okay.
and that I was used to doing before. So I really like that. It gave me a better step into what I'm doing.
Got it. So tell me, I mean, why are you getting into pest control? What have you done in
You're
the past? I mean, what's the story? Because I know you got an interesting story. Just I haven't heard
Yes.
it.
I've been this is my 21st year of teacher, mathematics for high school. Aside from that, I have three more degrees. But in 2010, I got really sick, really sick. Health. I had a Tacoma, a nice Tacoma that I just bought for myself, and I couldn't drive. I was in Laredo, and my sister was here in San Antonio, and my truck was just sitting there, and my sister's like, "Hey, my car broke down. Can I borrow your truck?" And I said, "Yeah, sure," but somebody stole the tailgate. So I went to a junkyard and took a tailgate from a truck that was a service truck, and it was white with a phone number, and it said pest control.
Oh,
So I put that, I temporarily put that, and I said I'll fix it later. I just want, I just want that tailgate on, and my sister brought it to San Antonio, and everywhere she went, gas stations, stores, people would just walk up to her and say, "Hey, do you have any cards? Do you have any cards? Do you have any cards? Do you have any business cards?" Because they thought she was a pest control lady.
oh my
Okay.
God.
Or the truck.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, uh, that and she told me, "Fred, everywhere I go, people want business cards." And I'm like, ching, like a little light just went off. I said, "This is something to think about in the future." Because when you become a teacher, I mean, especially a high school teacher, well, I was always in those honor classes and your higher level mathematics in high school.
Right.
And once you go into the real world of teaching, it's like where all these kids come from with that kind of background and manners and this and that. So every year is like, okay, this will be my last year. This will be my last year, and this will be my last year. So I'm like, I gotta do something else. So it's like, I was just like, Freddie, you need to think about pest control. I said, you know what? I am. So a couple of years back, let's say, I want to say 3 or 4 years, 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Um, I stopped teaching for a certain situation, but before that, I ordered all the study material from the A&M extension service, so I can start reading and knowing the laws and all that. But I had never known about pest control. I said I got it because I know how to study and I know how to test and all that. And I started knowing the rules and regulations and studying everything that the manual had, but it made no sense because it was just a textbook, and I never understood. I mean, many of the things that they were talking about, I had no idea what they were talking about. Yeah, I can
Right.
learn it, but like, what am I doing with it?
Right. There's no
So it's no,
application that you could connect.
yeah, there's no, I couldn't connect. I could not connect, and I left it alone. And I said, as soon as I get an opportunity, I'm gonna go and sign on with a company to work, get
Right.
my experience, and my other degree is in biology. So I have a math and a biology. So because of my biology, I could quickly test without experience
Right.
because I had that education in biology. But I said no, and no, I couldn't do it. So I said, okay, you know what? I better get my feet in there so I can see what's going on. So I applied for this um, worldwide company, very famous, and that I worked there for some time. And I said, oh, now I get it. Oh, now I get it. Oh, this is what they were talking about. Boom, I got it.
Right.
Okay. I got it. Okay, now I connected things. The good things in Texas, you have to work for 2 years with pest control, and then you start, moving up the ladder with it with their certifications here. But because of my degree, I could start off, and I passed all tests quickly. I got my certifications, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do it this time because each year was okay. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Now I'm ready. I'm ready. I've had my rigs for years already. I had my trucks for years because I also have a shared business with a friend of mine, car lot and all that. And it's
Okay.
for me, it's fun. So I can buy my vehicles anywhere I want.
Right.
So I had those ready, and then I had my insurance ready. I have my certifications ready. I'll be the certified applicator. Uh, I'm pretty much doing my own website by myself. I said I got to learn how to do it, you
Right.
know, and I did. I'm pretty much finished with my website. I'm designing. I designed my own logo, and now I'm the point. Okay, I'm almost done. So I'm like, okay, now what? And that's where my questions come in on how to start.
Right.
The job, I know the job. I learned it. I had experience, and with a lot of you take a little bit from everybody here and there.
Right.
What you think is right. Um, So now, okay, so how do I go about doing this? How do I go about
Right.
doing this? How do I go about doing this?
Yeah.
You
Let
know,
me let me let me let me interrupt you for a second because you're doing something that most of us um in the industry as pest control professionals come from diverse backgrounds. I don't know if you know this, my background is in IT. I studied to be a computer programmer. I worked in IT for a long time. I transitioned IT into sales, and I sold mostly everything in the world over 30 years. And then I decided to get into pest control as a part-time job to help my brother-in-law. That's how I got in. The problem with and it's an incredible testimony that you're actually looking into this career because it is such a rewarding career that is so undervalued because most people think the guy doing pest control does this because he couldn't do anything else in life. And here you are with 2 degrees and you're an ex-teacher, let's say per se, who is a way tougher job to do than pest control, I think, is teaching. If you can manage kids, you will have no problem managing your customers or your employees. I mean, it's a tough gig. So it is an incredible testimony that this is a very rewarding. I mean, you talk about your biology degree. Biology always fascinated me, although I never had a degree in it. So it's just really encouraging that first of all, you found that you were following me because you wanted to learn about pest control. And this is what I've been saying for 8 years, that everybody is now talking about going, we can't find people. We can't get people. Nobody's interested in pest control. That's because nobody's been out there talking about it positively for 8 years and, promoting this industry to outside of the industry where nobody sees it, where the associations don't give you any information. They're not involved. They're doing their thing legislatively, and that's it. So the fact that you even stumbled across it and the way you did was comical. I mean, I get into pest control because I bought a freaking tailgate.
yeah, yeah,
I just think that is just hysterical. The way serendipitously people get into this business. This is not unusual. It is funny though the way you came across it, but most people start out this because they were helping a friend or they lost a job and they decided, well, I'll just take this job temporarily, and then they fall it. And then the worst guys that really have it, that really don't make it, are the people that really get to work for sometimes large companies, and then they go from large company to small company, and then the small company doesn't fulfill them because it doesn't have enough money or all the benefits. So people just get discouraged and they fall out unless they start up. And the only option, if you get into pest control and you don't move up in a company, your only option is to start up. You have very limited growth opportunities in pest control as a technician, unless you want to be a service manager. And then, and then you got to decide, do I want to be in management and deal with those nightmares at a large company, which, most of the time people end up drinking and smoking very heavily. So those are the realities. But if you love it, yes, startup is an awesome, because there's plenty of room for all of us. It's not like the market is saturated. There's only the Bureau of Labor Statistics says there's 83,000 technicians in the country. Think about that.
That's very little.
That's very little when you know
Very
numbers. The industry says there's about 134,000. Compare that to landscapers, which there's 500,000 landscapers in the country. You have, I forget how many million homes we have. It's like literally one technician for every 2,000 homes. The market is not saturated. 20% of people only buy pest control. That's usually the top 20% of the money makers. That's the average. So that's your target market. So yeah, so your story is comical, but yet, believe it or not, it is symbolic of how people actually stumble. I mean, I got people here, electrical engineers, decided I'd rather do pest control than electrical engineering. They went from owning Subway franchises to selling them all and becoming a pest control technician. It was just much easier. And more money, more profit. The profits are amazing. What people don't understand is how profitable this business is if you do it right. And those are it. So let's just start talking about, you've already got your license. You're already set. I mean, that's really the easy part, believe it or not. People are like, oh, I don't know what to do, how to set up my corporation. Look, talk to an accountant. In your state, he's more equipped to tell you how to set up a company than I am. How you set up the licensing, that's by state. That's all stuff is easy. You built a website, even that is easy. You can do that on Wix.
Yeah.
Super easy. The thing is going to be, how do we get customers?
Exactly.
How do we market? And then if we're going to grow, how the heck do we learn to hire people? And this is where everybody gets stuck, because nobody ever hires anybody in their life. They know the technical part. They know the academics. And if they come from sales and marketing, they do better than the guy who was a technician, because he thinks the technical part is really what's important. And it's not. It's your soft skills, how you can relate to people, not how good of a technician you are. Because if you're crabby, you're going to have a heck of a time getting customers. So I don't know. Fire away. Tell me what you got, brother.
But the good thing is that I'm at a point where I'm ready.
Right.
Economically ready. My kids are already grown up. They each do their own thing. I'm a single person, own my own home. So I'm able to just test the waters and see, and I can grow. Okay, and grow little by little, or however you need to take it. The thing is that when I started doing it, man, I loved it. I loved it. The freedom that you have, being by yourself, working by yourself, nobody on your back, except maybe a customer that like, go here and do here and do here and do here, right? But other than that, it's like just riding around, a day, in the city and getting down, and you eat whenever you want to eat, you drink whenever you want to drink, you take your break, So number one, I love it.
Yeah.
And
let me talk to that point for a second. I think that's very vital that you just brought that up. But believe it or not, there's a lot of people who cannot function in that environment. They've never been self-managed. A teacher, I guess, mostly is self-managed because you're by yourself with your kids and you have to learn how to do things. Where if you're a worker in an office where the work has been given to you and you don't know how to work independently, you never worked independently, all that freedom actually becomes a stumbling block because you have no idea how to manage it. So you kind of mismanagement and then you get into a lot of trouble. So you as a technician understand that it is lonely work because you're not always engaging with a customer. Like 9 times out of 10, I never see my customers. I show up, I do my job on the exterior, I spray their lawns, I do their thing. I have customers that I had for like 10 years that I never met. So it's both a pro and a con. If you are, oh, this is awesome, I'm self-managed, I'm disciplined, I'm going to do my work, nobody has to tell me what to do, I know what I have to do already, and I go out and do it, it's great. For a lot of people, they have to be managed, they will never work in this industry. If you have to be managed because you can't be self-disciplined, that people can't trust you to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and you're goofing off, forget it. This job you can hide for with me, you're going to hide for a day. And I'm going to find out you slacked off all day. You didn't do what you were supposed to do, and you're going to be gone. But that is, it is a key point for those that are looking to start up and doing pest control. Am I self-managed and self-disciplined to do what I have to do without being told, and not in the sense of the technical part, because we all have to be trained there, in the sense of, yeah, I know I have to drive from point A to point B. I got to do my reports. I got to be there. I can't be across the street, hanging out, ghosting the account, which is big in our industry. The guys will sit in the truck, write up the ticket, leave it on the door, and never do a darn thing and just leave. And we see it all the time. And you see it all the time with big companies, because you give them 15 to 20 stops a day. There's no way that guy can do it. Unless he gets at 7 a.m. and he's done at 7 o'clock at night, he's not finishing 20 stops. Even if you have route density, he's going to get tired when 104-degree hits. That truck's going to be idling. That guy's going to be taking the AC brakes. They're going to cheat.
That's correct.
If you load them. And I think that's where everybody's frustrated, where everybody gets burned out on this job. My guy's 6 to 8 stops max, and on his worst day where he has route density, he's got 12.
With that big company, I was scheduled 17, 15. And I'm like, holy, I wouldn't finish. First of all, this Texas is hot. Just like you said, it's hot. You better get your little break, because between 1, 2, and 3, that sun is hitting you. And San Antonio is hot. But where I'm from, Laredo, I mean, it is 9, 10 at night, and it is 99 degrees hot. I mean, it just burns you. Yeah. So I was used to the heat in San Antonio. It's way easier than Laredo, way easier. But being active for 12 hours, 8, 10 hours, it will take a toll on you.
It will.
It will take a toll on you.
And a lot of companies have idling policies. They get pissed if you idle the truck. I don't have an idling policy. I let my technician decide, hey, if you got to be in that truck 15 minutes to cool off, be in that truck 15 minutes to cool off. Those are things that go a long way with people. When you tell them, no, you got to shut that truck off, and it's 90, you jump into that truck, you're hot, you're sweaty, and now you got to do a report, and you got to turn it on and go to the next stop, which is 2 minutes down because there's route density, and you don't take any breaks, you start cramping up, you're not drinking electrolytes, all these things, these little things add up to burnout for the technician. And that's common in our industry. And brother, I feel the pain because I'm in Miami. It's 100% humidity, even if it's 90. But when it gets into the summer and it feels like 104 with 100% humidity, 6 hours out there when we're pulling hose, you feel it, man. I come home with cramps in my legs, and I've been doing this for 15 years and I never get used to that. You just don't. So right now, I mean, my I need to, when I followed you, one of your statements was, who do you want to target? Your
good economical people here with finance that is good, or something small. Okay. I live in the south of San Antonio. It's low economic level status people. I would like to, I don't know, I'm thinking about this, that's why there's many things I don't know. And until I start doing them, I'm going to find out. I would like to become.
You're in what part of San Antonio are you in?
South side. The south.
South. San Antonio. Yeah, being a math teacher, I'm sure this is probably more for the sake of my audience. South San Antonio, I'm sure you've done a demographic study in your area. So let me just see here, 80% white. I'm looking at some stats here. Yeah, you got about 81,000 households, pretty healthy as far as a lot of density. You know what the average income, annual average income is for your area?
No, I don't. I know it'll be low. That's why it's the south.
All right, so we're looking at in your you're looking at 55,000 average, medium 41, which is just above Miami. So you got a tough market. That's tough to live on that kind of average household income. Miami is 42. I think it moved up to 46. Let me put it to you this way: you can't own a home in Miami unless you're making 72 to 85,000.
Yes.
So you're going to be in a tough area where you're going to have to really hone in on where your high price neighborhoods are and target those very specifically.
And that's where I'm trying to do a strategy to where, okay, you know what? These homes here in my side, which I live here also. So, and I teach here also, the school in the south. But I'm like, wait a minute, your houses are anywhere from, let's say, 700 to 1,200 square feet, 1,300 square feet.
Very small.
Very
homes,
small.
Yep.
What if I make it a little household name brand, affordable, and I'll be in and out. Hey, and hey.
Well, that's how you have to do it. That's you got to do. I mean, if you're able, this is going to depend on biology and construction and things that I am not. I mean, I'm going to assume that your construction in that area is similar to mine here in South Florida, where you have a lot of block construction, and or you might have wood construction. I don't know.
Yeah, mainly the front is block or brick, and in the rear is that wood.
Got it. Yep, I'm familiar with that. You got a brick veneer frontage on these, what they're called ranch style homes. And you have that, ideally you could do, if you're I would not sell. And this is the biggest mistake a lot of people make. It doesn't make logic to a lot of people unless you absolutely have to because of the type of construction. I get it. So this is not, I'm not painting with a broad brush. You need to sell, though, an exterior only service every time you go, because if you have to make an appointment every single time with every client to do their interior, you will not be productive, especially with the prices you're going to have to charge in your area. It will make no economic sense as a business to do that. You have to do an interior service initially where you knock out the problem. But remember, by basic biology 101, there is no pest inside a house dying to get out. They're all outside trying to get in. If you figure out how to incorporate exclusion in your business to where you can seal that property for at least large roaches, some of the things you're going to deal with, ants is going to be very tough. You're always going to have to, but all ants are outside anyway. You will rarely have to go inside. So let's say you got to go inside a maximum. Let's use the 80-20 rule for a worst case scenario. That 80% of the time you're only outside and only 20% you're going inside. Worst case scenario, which shouldn't be. But if you're doing your job right, that's your worst case scenario, and that's acceptable. Let's just say that. I know a lot of guys hearing me are going to say, no, 1%, 6%. In the summer, we're at 12% here in Miami. In the winter, it goes down to like 6%. But understand that we take on every client that every large company has failed at because it is a difficult structure. Crawl space homes, our callbacks are higher because we take on more difficult account that everybody else quit on. So it's kind of like the doctor that takes on, he says, your patients are dying at a higher rate. Yeah, but I'm taking all the high risk brain tumors that every other neurosurgeon has turned down. So yeah, I fail more, but I'm also saving more lives. So when we get these cases, we're no longer bi-monthly. We're no longer quarterly. We don't do quarterly here in South Florida. I don't. We now go to monthly on these clients and said, the only way I can get you what you want. Yeah, but the other companies came bi-monthly and quarterly. I says, yeah, but they all failed. And here's why they failed. Your construction does not allow for this. You got to invest $2,000 to $3,000 in sealing that crawl space doors. You see, so you got to evaluate that construction and say, why are they calling you versus the large company when you're in the sales process? And if you learn to be an investigator, why did they fail? Why aren't you happy? Why? You know, if you read the book by Simon Sinek, Start with Why, you become like that little kid that's always asking, ¿Y por qué? You know, that's what you want to be. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because you will find out there's problems that nobody else is dealing with that you're going to own.
That's right.
And if you're a monthly client and your market is only going to support $35 a month, and there's markets around, I know guys are going to say, no, that's not. Listen, I got guys in Alabama, they can't charge more than $35 a month.
Really?
That's the market. And it's a very rural market, and they have to travel 45 minutes to get to the good market. Building route density is so expensive because houses aren't like in Miami or in Houston where they're one on top of the other. They're not. You know, you've got a nice size market to choose from. So again, you got to evaluate all these things that people don't take into consideration, especially when they work for large companies, because the company doesn't care to get it. They're on the 80-20 rule. If these 20% of customers don't work out for us, it doesn't matter. We're a marketing machine. We just replace them.
And from what I've seen here, many of the companies, it is a common practice to, if you get service, they do it indoor and outdoor automatically in the same day or in the same appointment. So pretty much the going inside percent is high.
Right. So what was your company charging that you used to work for? What were they charging on a regular basis? Was it monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly? What were they charging?
It was quarterly. The initial, you know, they started somewhere around 189, 225. And
okay, so it's a little bit higher than in South Florida, believe it or not.
Exactly.
Okay,
and
so that's pretty decent for a contract. That was a contract. Right.
Contract.
This is where we got to make the differentiation now that you're going to go as an independent. And are you going to hold those customers to a contract? Is that part of your strategy?
No.
It's not.
No.
Okay, so what you're going to end up with, here's going to be your frustration, that you're going to end up with what is known as a one-time customer market. Now
I'm going to offer a contract. I'm going to offer if they want, right? I'm going to offer if they want. But on my website, I make it known no contracts needed. Or I forgot how I worded, but
yeah, no contract. That's
contract.
Fine. We're a no contract company. But understand, we're going to charge 2 to 3x more on that initial, because what people are comparing is the initial. Understand the mindset of the customer. This company's 169, 189 initial. Yeah, but that's with a 12-month contract. They're going to make it up. I says, do you want a contract? Okay, if you call them and you got to know your competition, and you got to price them out. It says, if you call them right now, it says, I don't want a contract, I want a one-time price. Their one-time price is this. And you got to know that, because your customer is going to know that you know your business, and he can't mess with you. So if he says, well, their one-time price for a German roach is $680, that's what you're asking me for. Here's my one-time price to do that. And then said, now, if you want a contract, yes, we're more than glad. Are you going to stick to a contract, Mr. Customer? And you know your answer right there when the question already came up that I don't want a contract, is the fact that if you go contract and then they cancel, you have to be willing to let them go and not challenge that, because the moment you do, they know to give you a bad review.
That's correct.
And you're not going to go after them and be a collections agent.
No.
And say,
Nope.
you're not going to deal with that. So you might as well be honest with the customer up front and says, if you want a one-time price for me to solve this problem, here is the price to solve the problem. Because I got to come back 1, 2, 3 times to solve this problem for you, and I got to charge you for every one of those visits. They are making their money on the long term with you. If you're going to stay with me long term, then we go to a maintenance program. After I do this for this price, we will talk if you want a maintenance program. And you're going to find out what your closing ratio is on that customer. Says, no, you did such a great job, I don't need it. What's your guarantee? Well, you got to decide, am I going to give you a guarantee? I said, no, based on this construction, because I've been doing this a long time, I know that customer is going to call me back in 30 days with that ant problem, because that problem is in the soil, that biology, that colony. I know from being in the field that colony goes 30 miles through this whole city. And I know that they're not going to be able to hold off 60 or 90 days. So I explained to them why they need it and why. And my sales, understand that if you develop a sales process and you handle all of the objections and not be of the biggest problem that I see with guys that go solo is that they don't know how to be salespeople. They think being salespeople is talking a lot, talking fast, and feeding the customer BS. My job as a salesman is to be a detective. Find out why the customer feels this way. Why is the customer making this decision? Why has the other companies fail? And I have to be a psychologist, and I have to be a counselor, and I have to be a construction expert and a biology expert and know what it is that I'm going to quote, because I know what that problem is going to be. If I was in growth mode and I had salespeople that feed, I'm going to be a machine and I could care less what the numbers are. I'm going to go with the 80-20 rule. You can't go with the 80-20 rule, because 80% of the time you're going to end up with these customers that is the 20% they lost. You're owning their problem that everybody failed at. This is where we as small people, this is what we end up. We listen, we get the scraps that fall from the table. Unfortunately, we charge a premium for those scraps.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like Texas barbecue when nobody cared about brisket because brisket was a dry piece of meat. Okay, go buy brisket now per pound on a barbecue place like Franklin Barbecue and see if it doesn't cost you $30 a pound for scraps that nobody wanted. We get the scraps, but we got to charge a premium because we're inheriting a lot of problems. And so what I would say is, are you going to be, and you mentioned that you're in a good financial position. Are you going to be starting this part-time and still be teaching, or are you going to quit your teaching career and go into this full-time?
Quit teaching my teaching career.
So you're financially set that you can sustain yourself for 6 months to a year. No problem. Because that's important, because if let me ask you a question. Have you ever had any experience in sales?
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely.
Okay. So you do have, okay. That's important because, you know, I don't know. What did you sell before?
I worked at 7 retail stores. I've been working since I was since I was very little, at a very young age, 5 and 6 years old. Because my grandfather used to have a landscaping business. He would plant grass. So, you know, there we go with my grandpa, 5, 6 in the morning, getting that, all that ready. Then as a college kid, I sustained myself working at a shoe store for women. That was crazy. Oh my God, that was
Man, you've
crazy.
had some serious experiences. That's
That was
hard.
crazy. I worked at retail stores selling jeans, fashion stores. Um, I worked at I worked at Eye Masters. I was a lab technician and the eyewear specialist selling to the customer their eyewear. So I've
So let me tell you something. That's you've got some very valuable experience that most people will underestimate. But the fact that you can sell to women and you're relatable to women is going to be more important to you than anything else, because most people think they're going to be selling to men. What I find is that most of the time I dealt with women.
and guess my truck I bought me at Tacoma, the one that I'm gonna use. It's a great color, but I'm like, and just the point that you said right now, it's women. They're the ones in the house saying, "Hey, I don't want these bugs here, honey." It's the women.
Yeah. Yeah. Women.
Guess what color is gonna be my logo? A pink or a melon color. Melon color. A melon made so
Yeah, I mean, I mean, when I originally started hiring, I really wanted to hire women more because they can relate more in the home. They're more emotionally intelligent than men. Men tend to focus on the technical part. Bedside manners of technicians aren't great. Um, this is vitally important, and I think you got a great thing where if you've had that experience, I people would laugh like, man, my wife would be like, all these women are calling you all the time. I says, yeah, I deal 99% with women. They're the ones that are in the home. Even when I go to the home and the woman isn't there, the cleaning lady's there. I still got to relate to her because she's responsible for that home, letting me in and making sure that, so I have to comfort her, making sure that, she's going to be able to communicate to the homeowner. So the communication skills is probably the soft skills, which you seem to have. I mean, as a teacher, as an instructor, as a communicator, those are so valuable that people don't have to be able to educate the customer on what it is to expect. So yeah, that's going to be your key if you're going to go with no contract, which is the same. It's on our website. It's funny because the reason we got in contact is because you were pricing me out and you went on my site and you filled out my form. And then you said, hey, you don't have your prices on your form. I said, depending on what's happening in my market at the time, I will take it up and put it down and I will test because it's been so volatile with COVID and everything. And we lost our ranking because I had to move. I'm in my new office. This is my garage now. It's converted garage where it's my office, it's storage, it's my library. And I had to move the company with my GMB location. I took a massive hit on my Google My Business. And then when we tried to put in the new address for the last 2 months, Google's been knocking my address down saying no, even though they sent me the card and I validated it to that address. It's been a mission. I hired a new SEO company. He's been working on it. Says, bro, I can't get it done. They keep knocking the address down. So what I like to do is if my sales numbers are high and I can't manage them, I will put my prices up, and that automatically eliminates a lot of those calls because I'm not able to handle them. But when their sales are low and I need to get more sales, I got to become more personable. So it's a juggling act. This idea that these guys think, oh no, you do it this way and this way is going to, wait until you're getting 20 calls a day. You lost your technician, you're on a route, and you got to start and you got to finish by 1:45 like me because I got to pick up my son at school. It's a juggling act all day. It's the stress levels are so high. So when I need to, I will put my prices. When I need a break, I will put my prices up on my website, and I will put a form. The form I instantly change it because it has a code, and I just drop the new code in, and I got the new form with the prices in them, and I can easily juggle back and forth and manage that.
Yes, and that's where I'm gonna test my market. I'm gonna test my market in a sense on the pricing. where because I'm able to sustain myself and I'll be okay for some time,
Right.
I would like to become an economical household name for the people in the South that usually don't get pest control, but like Omar, the neighbors, and they say, hey, this guy, look, call him. He's giving you a real good price for a one-time thing.
I'm gonna give you the experience on that from personal experience, and I'll give you the pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna plan? Is your plan to grow and have multiple technicians?
Yes.
Okay. If you're going to do that, you're gonna have to distinguish yourself between the company and yourself. And you're buying the service the company sells. You're not buying me. If you pigeonhole yourself into, oh, Omar is great, this guy is great, I'm going to do this with him. And then the moment you hire a technician, oh, no, I don't want him. I only want you. You pigeonholed yourself. You're done. To try to get yourself out of that, what you tell your customers is, hey, listen, I don't have the staff right now. I'm going to go do it. But normally I don't do this. I'm growing, and, because you got to set that up to your image on your website is that they're not buying you. Don't brand yourself.
Correct.
Brand the company, because you'll pigeonhole yourself. Second thing is, you are thinking the way everybody thinks. The problem is your thinking isn't based on 50 years of reality. The people who are going to buy pest control are people who really don't want to do it themselves, either because they're afraid of doing it themselves or it's not worth their time. 80%, Orkin has a great study that they put out many years ago, which I still have, and they kept market analysis. They have more market analysis than I'll ever have. And they said, for the last 50 years, this was 6-7 years ago, for the last 50 years, here's been the trend. Only 20% of homeowners ever hire a professional pest control company. That's it. You're not going to get the guy that has always done his own pest control. I've been living in this house 14 years and I've never had a pest problem. I just need a one-time service because I can't solve it. I've tried everything to solve it. He gave up already. Or he has a severe German roach infestation. I don't know what the density of apartments are in yours. I'm going to give you an example of demographics that you need to know. I don't know what they are in your area. I know what I study in my area. And I'm going to tell you the combination of just being one county away. I'm in Dade County. I got friends in Broward County, and we analyze their business model, and it's completely different from mine. And we're only 18 miles apart. Miami-Dade County, just to give you an understanding of demographics, 65% Hispanic. 46%, 46,000 a year, average household income. It is a 50% rental market. That includes single-family homes. 30% of my business is German roach service to single-unit apartments that either the landlord won't handle it because he's going to pay a guy $25 to spray it, and he's tired of it, and he says, I can't live like this. He won't pay for it. I'm going to end up paying for it, but it's $469 to have you do it and solve it, and then put them on a quarterly or bi-monthly program. 30% of my business is German roach service to single unit condos, because we have a huge condo market, which is also rental, and single family homes that are rentals. That's my German roach business. Now that's unique to me. When I talk to my buddy in Broward, he says, bro, I barely do German roach apartments. I don't get calls for that. Right. Why? He's 35% Hispanic with a 35% rental market, and his average household income in Broward County is $72,000. That's almost double of what it is in Miami-Dade. So this is why it's so hard for us to do what we do in Miami-Dade. When people told me, you're crazy doing eco-friendly pest control, you'll never be able to sell it. I said, no, but I know how to sell Bentleys and Rolexes to people that want to buy Bentleys and Rolexes. So I only sell to high-end clients, but I have the finesse to deal with those clients, convince them. Plus, they're the ones already eating vegan. They're the ones already doing yoga. They're already bought into this holistic mentality. That's my customer, but it's a 1%. I sell to the highest and richest. When I talk to that lady, she's always in yoga pants. She's got a maid. She drives, you know, a $168,000 Mercedes, and this is what she wants. You see, so there's a different, you got to understand the demographics. I want you to go into the marketplace, because what you're saying is I want to be the average pest control company for the average customer. The problem is that really doesn't exist. It's a dream. If you analyze and you want to know what your pricing should be, and you want to be, you need to really look at who your top 10, 20 companies are in your market. And you need to price them out every year.
Yes, yes. And I've done that. I've checked out the prices.
Don't go under them, and don't go under them.
Don't go under them.
You will cut your own throat, because think about this. Your costs are going to be higher. Remember, when that large company buys in health insurance, they buy it for thousands of employees. They have leverage. They have leverage on their product. They have leverage on their maintenance. They have leverage on everything. You have no leverage. Your price on the product is going to be what it is. Your price on the insurance is going to be what it is. Your price on gas is going to be what it is. You have no leverage to marginalize 5, 6, 7, 8% here and there. It's not even worth your time because you're so busy. If you go, you got to charge at least what the average in the market is. And if you build a super premium brand, which is what I recommend everybody do, not try to be the average Joe. You will fail as the average Joe. You will come back to me in a year and said, I did it. I did exactly what you told me not to do. And now I can't grow because I don't have enough revenue and profit to hire a technician. And you will find out that it's going to cost you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to hire a technician, because you don't have an HR department. You are the HR department.
The HR department. I'm everything.
You're everything. So how much time can you devote to something? What you need is margins, high margins, so that you can afford to say, yeah, I've got 15 grand in profit stored away. So now I can hire a technician and I can keep him going for 6 months, even if I'm breaking even or making no money.
That's right.
Because if your bills are covered, and what you got to make sure is your overhead is covered, your house overhead is covered. If you own your home and it's paid off, beautiful. Very few people have that luxury. You're good. You're golden. Good. So you need less than the average guy. You can just say, I just need enough to pay the light, the taxes, the insurance, and I'm golden. You're in the sweetest position of your life.
That's why
you don't have golden incomes.
I'm enjoying this process.
Yes.
And I've always worked very hard as a teacher and always had my integrity, because I know if I ever need to go back, I will. You know what I mean? That's why
I don't think you will, bro. Once the bug life has you, you ain't going.
I love it.
You know, bro. I never lasted at a career job in a specific company more than 4 years. I was constantly bored. Once I would build a store and I would get that store running, what am I going to do? I can't grow it anymore. The revenue is not going to grow in this store, no matter how hard you're at. You're just maintaining at that high level. I would get so bored, I would quit and find something that was broken and fix it. I've been in this now 15 years. I don't see myself ever getting out of this. It's just that phenomenal to me, because there's so many things that I can do that even when I'm bored doing pest control, I can still do something else. So I'm never bored.
All of this experience, when my truck had that tailgate,
right?
Believe it or not, Frank, it was, to me, I believe largely in God. I'm not a fanatic. But everything has fell into place for me, especially this. It is an opportunity to me to enjoy this, to start a business.
Right.
And it started like that by a tailgate. Okay. But things play into each other. And now I'm enjoying this because I can really say, oh man, you know what? Let me go work for a insurance, agent or program or this and that. And I don't want to be behind the desk anymore. Right. I don't want to be in the room. Okay.
Right.
And then when I would call, and that's what I'm telling you, I mean, thank God, because he put me the people just come in to me,
Right.
you know. I called the Texas Department of Agriculture, and God, I got this guy that just has been, he became my friend over the phone, you know, from Puerto Rico. And the guy doesn't get tired of my question. He guides me. He does everything. And then I said, "Hey, guy," you know, I told him his name. What is the number one complaint? Because I'm sure people call, "Oh, yes, we are the complaint of Texas." Like the number one complaint is the contracts.
Yeah. And
It's
mostly it's mostly where they get involved. Just to give you a little bit of background, it's going to be contracts, but also with contracts with termites. Because by the time when somebody gets to the point where they call the government to complain, is because there's a serious atrocity. In other words, the pest control company did a termite job. Now they have tens of thousands of dollars worth of repair that they're not stepping up to the plate to take responsibility. They're saying, no, it's pre-existing and we're not responsible for it. And that's when the customer gets so frustrated. By the way, I'm going to still recommend, remember, and I want to clear this up since we got into contract, no contract, because I have this question all the time where people tell me, well, how do you do business without a contract? And I said, no, you don't understand. We don't have a long-term contract. There's no binding, like you can cancel for any reason, 30 days notice. If a customer calls me today and says, Frank, I want to cancel, don't come do my next service, and it's 5 days out, I'll still cancel it. I have no problems with that. We have a contract that has terms, conditions, exclusions, and limitations, and it covers our butt in a court.
yes,
In case they said, well, I never authorized you to do this and that. And, you know, we have an arbitration clause. Even if we don't do termite, we still have an arbitration clause.
it's a service contract.
It's a service agreement that we have, that this is what you're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And it's in writing. There's never a question that we said nothing. If I have a pace on my contract where it says, I guarantee you I'm going to do this in addition to this, but otherwise it's what's in that contract. And you still have to write up a contract, and make sure you get an attorney to write up your contract. Because if there's ever a problem with litigation and the lawyers find out that you wrote your own contract, they'll have a field day with you because you have nothing to back it up. So even if it's just the terms, conditions, exclusion, limitation, this is what we said we were going to do, and this is what's in writing. You can cancel anytime. You can cancel with 30 days notice. I don't care what your clause is. It just needs to be there. So have a written contract. Are you going to be focused mostly on general household pests, ants, roaches? You're not going to get into lawn. You're not going to get into termite. Okay. So right now, you know, you're there.
I don't have the termite experience.
Right. It's a very simple service that you're dealing with. You're dealing with what is known in every industry as a minimum viable service. Work on your branding. Let me ask you this, because we're talking about branding, marketing, and sales. And that's always the biggest challenge that you're going to come across, and you want to know how to market and all this. What's your unique selling proposition? If I asked you today, what's different between you and every other 20 companies that is around you, what's the difference?
And that was something that was my next thing on what I was going to work on. That was the next thing, because if you tell me right now, and number one, I'm a very frank and earnest,
right,
honest person, and straight. I'm a straight shooter.
Right.
I'm not gonna, bull crap you right now with that, because it's something that I was gonna set, because that was my next thing to put in the website. How can I tell them about me? For sure, I was gonna tell them ex-educator.
I would have a little bio about us.
Yeah.
You could have a bio about you, but that is about you. In other words, remember that they're not buying you. That's part of the branding.
Yes.
But you want to be, in other words, are you being an educator, you understand the education system, you understand where things are going in the ecology, where everything is moving. Are you looking at branding yourself as an eco-friendly option, or are you looking as being what everybody else does?
I'm not gonna do eco-friendly because I feel that you get a lot of you rise up with a lot of situations when it's eco-friendly with people. People are very particular about the products. Um, I don't want to say eco-friendly. I don't want to say that.
Okay.
I really don't.
Let me ask you this. Texas, by the way, I want to give a big shout out to the guys at Texas A&M. I think they're probably the second best entomology department in the country. I know California will disagree. They disagree with everything. So but my top three, believe it or not, probably if I had five in the country, number one in the country, it's obviously known that it is UF has the best entomology department in the country. If you're thinking about studying entomology and switching from biology, it has the best. I think the second best for me has been Texas, partially because I deal with so much ornamental and lawn, and they have similar grass and similar. So a lot of the information I get from both UF and Texas entomology. And then I would say California for me is number three with UC and UC Berkeley and a lot of the entomology over there. Then probably would be Penn State and Rutgers University out of New Jersey. Those are probably my where I get.
I was gonna tell you New York.
Yeah, New York.
New York is up there.
Yeah, so Rutgers is probably for me, and then of course Purdue, but Purdue doesn't do a whole lot more than the education part, not so much on the local entomology part, because it's the local entomology part has to do locally with them. But Purdue is highly respected in pest control. So biggest shout out to them because they deserve it. I use a lot of their material. But going back to
and I'm a product from A&M.
Yeah, and A&M, and so but as far as you've got one of the greatest, and I would suggest you sit down with her and talk to her, because she is at Texas Extension Service, Dr. Hurley, because I would brand yourself. I would look at holistic pest management as your word versus eco-friendly, because that's where you're looking at it from a holistic perspective. You're looking at the construction, you're treating the person, you're dealing with the pest problem from a biological perspective, not a chemical perspective, and branding yourself as a holistic company. And why we are holistic, because when she explains IPM, and I've had her on the show, and I think you should, I don't know if you heard that interview with her.
No, I haven't.
On IPM, okay. She's probably one of the premier IPM people in the country from an educator perspective, other than Deanie Miller. But she's over up north. No, Deanie Miller's out of Virginia. I'm sorry. She's out of Virginia, Virginia Tech. But from a person who's a liaison between the universities, the public, and the pest control people, her name is oh my God, she's got an Italian last name, and I just lost it. I'll find it for you. I'll post it. I would literally call her and have a serious conversation, because what I do is I take, as a marketer, you got to think as a marketer now. Switch your hat from sales, from technical, and go into marketing mindset. How do I take what an educator says, what the state says from compliance, and turn that into a marketing message? We're spin doctors. That's what we are as marketers. It sounds nasty, but that's what we have to do. We have to take something that is unintelligible from government, which government complicates everything, and turn it into something that people can understand and simplify it. And I would take the position that if you say, I sell pest control the same as everybody else, then the only differentiator between you is going to be you personally, which you don't want, because now you pigeonholed yourself, and your unique selling proposition, or the price. Now you have to be lower priced than everybody else. Because what do you sell? If pest control is a commodity, what's your differentiating factor? You have to have one that you can articulate very easily to the client in your marketing message. That is the most difficult part to do, because some people who come from marketing intuitively get that, like Obex Pest Control, which I've had him on the show. He's a sales guy and a marketer. He translates that very easily into a very simple marketing message, because that's what he does. I mean, I got Cubano Villa Clara, which is on right now listening to me. This guy owns a very successful company in California, several $1 million worth of pest control a year. He knows what he's doing.
Good.
But he's a salesman, and he taught me a lot of things about marketing that I needed to change, because I'm a salesman. I'm not a marketer. I had to learn to be a marketer, because I'm a consultative salesperson, because I've always been in a consultative sales position. I was a senior account representative. I was a regional sales manager. I've never been in and I wasn't in the trenches for many years selling individual services to people. I was selling large contracts, business to business, different mentality. So there's a lot of things that we need to learn and unlearn, especially when you're online and you're in the solo groups. If you want to be a solo forever, then listen to them on how to stay solo forever. But if you want to grow, you got to set your foundation from the beginning.
Frank, that was awesome what you said, a holistic approach. That was awesome. That's a great, you brought everything together.
Right.
Do you have a lot of complaints where people say, or with the word eco-friendly? Do you have a lot of situations?
Here's why. When I started out, and I don't know if you've heard my story, for those of you that haven't, I started out in a traditional company mixing 5 products into a tank and spraying everybody down. Most of those products were organophosphates. They were actually, some of them were illegal because they were AG products being sprayed all over the place. So I was mixing a fungicide and 2 insecticides and 2 organophosphates, a 20/20 fertilizer, and a surfactant, and we were mixing that in the tank and we were spraying everybody with that. And the guy told me, I don't know, I'm getting out of the pest control business. I can never make money. He was charging $35 a yard. I went in and I said, bro, I didn't know anything about it, but I know how to be a salesman. The guy was a salesman too, by the way. He was good at it. He just couldn't figure out how to do pest control differently. I said, I don't even want to be around these products. So I immediately changed it. I doubled the price on the client. And I said, we're not going to come monthly. We're going to come bi-monthly, because we're upgrading all of our chemicals to all modern chemicals. And I did. We went from buying $35 a gallon product to stuff that was costing $100 to $600 a gallon. But I could use them in less amounts, use less amount of poundage. They were more effective. And then I learned IPM my second year when I listened to Dr. Frischman. And I said, okay, now we're going to change this, and eco-friendly is the way. How do I do it? And I started practicing it for 7 years before my customers even, by the time I got to the end and I rebranded my company, we were 100% almost organic in the landscape, in shrubs, 100% natural. The customer never knew what we did, because the customer pays for a result. The customer didn't pay for chemical. And I learned how to differentiate myself, but I had 7 years to practice it quietly when nobody knew what I was doing. When I decided to rebrand is when I saw that the organic market went from a 4% back when I wanted to do it. I study markets, and I studied that it was 4% people buying. Well, no, the news was saying 50% of people want organic. Well, the reality is only 4% were buying. When I saw the diffusion of innovation, and I saw that the market was at about a 13% acceptance of organic products. This is laundry detergent, food, all kinds of chemicals, and people didn't want the chemicals in their home. I said, now it's the time for me to rebrand. And that's when I rebranded to Nature Pest. What I quickly understood is that I was selling to 13% of the market that was buying pest control. I knew my numbers and I knew what I was up against. I wasn't delusional. I knew that in Miami, 20% of people didn't buy pest control, only 10% bought pest control. So I was selling to the 13% of that 10, which comes out to a 1%. I'm a 1% business. But when you have 2.8 million people to market to, how many customers do you need to be successful? Not very many. When you break it down to the ridiculous, that if I had 300 clients, I was golden at my prices because I sold it for twice as much as everybody else. You see, so the pushback is going to depend on you having a clear strategy of who your client is and you not being afraid to say no to everybody else. In other words, when you're getting married, it isn't about the 99 that you're giving up that you could potentially date. You're saying, I want to be married to this one. And I know who I'm being married to and who I want to be with. And I know what I'm looking for in a woman, and everything else doesn't matter. But you have to have a strong conviction. I had a strong conviction about eco-friendly and natural and organic because it outperformed everybody else. Because I did it based on biology, not based on spraying juju juice. I knew what it would work on because I had 7 years to test. And I knew where I failed every single time and I couldn't do it. And then I took my success and I packaged that success. This is what I can deliver to you based on this current information. So when we put on our website, it says we're the only company in South Florida that has an exclusive no indoor spray service, I am targeting the people that don't want any chemical in their home.
That's correct.
And my marketing, by doing 7 years of social media, 7 years of videos, 7 years of SEO, where I rank in markets right now that I'm not even in. This is why, bro, how are you getting leads from all over the country? Because I set up a brand and I went out and set up the marketing to be a household brand. And so now I get calls from Texas. I get calls from California, New York, New Jersey, Canada. I get calls from all over the world. People saying, how do I get your service? I can't get it here. And then I put them in contact with somebody that can do it.
And real quick, I'm going to add some
Go ahead.
question. When I called, your voicemail came on. You don't have a answering service or
we did, and we had to fire them.
So right now you're on the roll. You're on, doing houses and that, and you're getting all those phone calls, and you're dealing with them as, let's say, as you're doing the service, the treatment.
I have a headset on all the time. I'm driving with a headset. I'm doing a service with a headset. There ain't nothing we can do that we can't answer a call with a headset.
But that's going to be me. That's what I'm. That's going to be me.
Yeah, and I got a voicemail. I used to have a phone answering system. I deactivated it for a while because I wanted to get some feedback on the new call because the market had dropped so much.
Okay. And the reason I asked that, because as soon as you get that phone call and your voicemail comes on, that you just lost that customer, I would say, or that lead. And they call somebody else. This guy didn't answer.
Yeah, you know why? Right now, I'm at a point in my business. Everything that I do is strategic. If I get a customer that demands that he speaks to me right now, in the middle of COVID, when you can't hire, when you can't find people, when you're wearing 16 hats, and that person demands that I talk to you right now, he's going to demand that he always talks to you right now, and you won't be able to wear your hats. You got to choose. It isn't this idea that, oh, I get the guys all the time. It says, I don't know what to do with 16 calls a day. Well, why are you handling 16 calls a day? Because I got to take every call. On Saturday, they don't sleep. They don't rest. On Sunday, no, because I lost 12 calls over the weekend. What do? I said, it's very simple. It's on my voicemail. We don't work Saturday. We don't work Sunday. If you call me on a Sunday with an emergency service, we're not an emergency company. You're not my customer. I got clear who my customer is. My customer will call and leave a voicemail and say, Frank, I saw your video. I want you to do it for me because I saw, and I've had 3 companies and they haven't done what you do and they've all failed. And I'm willing to wait for you right now. So understand that you can't be all things to all people. When that lady calls who decides she wants somebody right now, I have people calling me at 2 a.m. I need you to answer your phone right now. I says, dude, we're not a 24-hour company. I got people tell me I would have hung up on you. Exactly. You're not my customer. I got so many calls that, and I got my numbers, and I know they've already seen my videos. They've been on my website. They read my information. They've seen my pricing. If right now, if you don't fill out an application online like you did, I will usually get an instant response that says, hey, I got your quote and I'm working on it and I'll get back to you. The minute I'm done doing what I'm doing, I'm looking at it and I'm texting that quote. And how long did it take? I texted you back and I said, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't service your area.
That's right.
That's simple. I don't need to waste my time. No, if you're in a little town, in a sleepy town where everybody still has a phone on the wall that includes a dialer and he's 85 years old and he doesn't know how to use text, yes, I get it. But we're in Miami. This is a 24-hour town and everybody wants it yesterday. And then you call them and you give them the price and they're like, okay, let me talk to my husband. And a week later, you still don't hear back from them because they're price shopping. Because here's the problem. I know my market. I know that 80% of the time I'm going to quote a price, I'm not going to get the sale. Because she's in an apartment and she's thinking she's going to get a $65 spray service. Why? Because I do marketing in Spanish and I also do marketing in English and I have Spanish pages. And 80% of my roach business comes from Spanish people living in apartments where they work for a slumlord and they're not going to buy from me anyway.
That's right.
So when my guy sees my video on how to treat this problem on a disease on a plant, he will call me and says, hey, Frank, I saw your video, bro. I'm dealing with this problem with a plant, bro. I really appreciate if you can call me back. And then I usually will call him right back. But it also filters out for me all the marketing guys because I get 10 marketing calls a day. So every time the phone rings, here's an important thing I had to learn a long time ago. Every time the phone rings, it is urgent, or you got to differentiate between what's important and what's urgent, because you can't do everything. If I'm working on a proposal that's going to take me 30 minutes and that phone is constantly ringing, it's going to take me 2 hours to get that proposal done. I'd rather just ignore the call because but that's people live in a paranoid state. Oh, but that's potential business. Yes.
Potential income. Yeah.
Potential income. Well, yeah, you can kill yourself and be a paranoid schizophrenic based on potential everything that you've lost. I got to pick and choose.
And that's why I like your model where you have the upfront pricing. Who's going to call people that want it already? They already searched everywhere.
By the time they get to, here's the difference. Since people are Googling in English, they are Googling eco-friendly natural company. Okay. They already know what they're buying. Here's the problem. There's only 2 other companies in Miami-Dade that do what I do out of 241 companies. It's simple supply and demand. You want an eco-friendly, here's what they offer. Here's what we offer. They've already done the research. They've already been to my website. They've seen my videos. They're already sold. They're just waiting for me to quote the price, get back to them. When I quote a price on a guy that owns a $1.6 million house, he's not going to price shop.
That's correct.
Because he's busy. He's making $250 an hour and he doesn't care. He wants somebody to solve it. He doesn't want to price shop. His wife doesn't want the chemical in the home because this is based on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations over the years with people where they keep repeating. If you listen to your client, you will hear the same 10 questions being asked every single time. And you compile a list of the top 10 questions, and this is what everybody asks. And I answer them in my presentation. And I have them included in my presentation when I call them back. Do you know anything about us? Well, yes, I know that you're eco-friendly and your products are natural. And I let them talk. And I said, no, let me explain. It's not 100% natural. Let me educate you on IPM. What we use is the process that is used in organic facilities. You realize you can't use natural products in organic facilities. You use IPM. It's the natural extension of organics. This is what I explain to people. So when they're calling me and says, but so how do you control this? We're the only company in South Florida that has an exclusive indoor zero spray service. We don't have to spray the inside of your house to solve that problem. I have an elevator pitch. So when I'm talking to them, I repeat the same story every single time to everybody, explaining, and then I get into a consultative mode after I let them talk to me for about 5 minutes and tell me all about their problems. They already told me more than I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And I can now get into my sales pitch, ask them, do you know what we do? Say, well, if it's for lawns, I'm the only company in South Florida that has 100% natural services. 5 for dealing with outdoor pests. Inside the home, we use this because this is what's recommended, because she tells me she has a dog. I said, do you realize that IPM is what the American Veterinary Association recommends? This is on their website. The American Board of Pediatrics is what they recommend is IPM. They don't recommend a spray service. This is why our service exceeds California's, San Francisco for the environment, which is the strictest in the world, probably next to Europe. Our process already exceeds Europe's requirement for IPM. You see, so when I start talking like that and educating the customer, I am not afraid of the marketing bringing in a false sense, because it's my job as a salesman to clarify it. So if you tell them too much and you don't let them call, then you lost everybody. You lost the opportunity. I want the opportunity to get in front of you. So therefore, eco-friendly, natural, and I throw out all my terms, but you look, none of it's on my website. When people go, none of it is deceitful. My first statement is a statement of what we believe and why we do it. It does exceed what is done in hospitals. We treat every home as if it was a hospital surgical room. There's no chemical anywhere on the floor. We use baits all the time. So, but how do you control it with baits? We have a process, and I explain our process. I have a video on that. You saw on my quote page. There's 5 videos on there that explain 5 of our top services. So by the time they fill out that form, they're sold. It's just a matter of the technicality of the price. And usually it's not an issue. You see, so again, but when it comes to my Spanish clients, I only have a 20% success rate. When I have an Anglo client, I will have a 50 to 80% success rate. I know my closing ratios. Right. And so that's how I balance everything, because when I was full-time behind a desk a year and a half ago, and I had 2 technicians in the field and all I did was sales and marketing, I had an answering service. And I only returned the calls that were from a prospect. If you were a vendor, you had no chance in hell of me calling you back. SEO guys that are calling me 10 times, you had no chance in hell of getting me on a phone. I had a wall block. So what I did is, when the calls are slower and the calls are busy, I will turn on my I use Call Rail. So I have a directory. For sales, press 1. For service, immediate service, press 2. And sometimes they're all routed to me, and sometimes they're routed to somebody else. They can take the call for me while I'm super busy.
What program do you use? What program do you use for your routes?
I'm using Pest Routes.
Pest Routes?
Yep. Can I be honest with you? I would probably look at Gorilla Desk.
That's what I already signed up with, and I don't know if we're allowed to say like the name.
I don't care. It's my podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, just as long as it doesn't get you in trouble with your previous employer and things like that. Yeah. But no, when I bought Pest Routes was a platform that was almost enterprise level. And then they went through the phase where they were trying to sell, and they basically stopped everything, and they didn't advance or do anything. And they would stay stagnant, and Gorilla Desk really took off. Like, they're the Apple probably product of the industry where they make it very the UX experience and the user friendliness. However, they still got limitations, especially if you do termite. You're going to have to use something like PestRoute because you have the ability to upload, have the documents right there. They're more in tune with the more technical part, where Gorilla Desk went more with the let's focus on the single user ease of things. Let's be more of an Apple. And they succeeded at it. They were very good at that. And I give them props for that. Those were the main reasons why, because I was already a growing business. And I was going to go into termite, and I'm looking at the future and saying, I come from data, and I know what a data migration costs to do. I know how many man hours it's going to take. When we're talking 100, 800 man hours to do something, how am I going to manage that when I'm already wearing 4 other hats? I'm going to hire a data entry person. So yeah, I would just stay with Gorilla Desk on that. How are you planning to do? Let's talk about your marketing. Let's go back to it because we touched on a couple of things, but we really didn't do a deep dive. Let's do a deep dive into the marketing, because I think, all the other stuff, the technical stuff, the nuances that you're going to get being in the field and very quickly. The things you don't know about pest control, you're going to learn very quickly. There's a million places to learn it. You can write in any group and you can get an answer to that. What's going to be your strategy to market right now, other than you're building your website? And let's talk about that too. What platform are you building it on, by the way? Webflow. Okay. I haven't used them. Tell me about them.
Oh, it's really good. But I went into Wix and I didn't like it because you cannot really customize it, and
not in the true customization sense of being able to change a real layout and change a lot. They're customizable to drop. They're basically drag and drop for people who don't know how to build websites.
And it really doesn't give you that second. With Webflow, you embed and you can embed until you can go back and forth, and have your own platform in your mind, and you can design it freely in Webflow.
Okay.
Where in Wix you cannot really do that free designing. It's there already. Mm-hmm. It's there for you. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I saw. I didn't like it, and that's why I went to I started searching Webflow, and it's just a designing platform. It took me time to watch all the videos on how to do it, and I was able to get by with basics, but my website's looking okay. So that is going to have different pages and all that, but it's almost ready. It's almost ready.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you going to use your website as a SEO tool to drive the business, or are you going to use the website basically as a glorified brochure that you drive business to from social media, from advertising?
That's my idea right now. I want the website just to be there, informative. Okay. Let the customer know. Put my pricing, or then go in there. I want that call now. I'll talk to them and I let them know what we can do. Got it. But mainly, it's going to be an information website of what I do, just like you have it there.
Okay. Now, that is not it. My site is not an information website. My site is a lead generation machine, because I have so much SEO on it.
That's correct.
So, when before the SEO company that I hired, which I'll keep talking about this until it really hurts them, they tanked my SEO. I was doing 16,000 clicks a month on that website. Oh, wow. Yeah. Now we're about 9,000. And because Google, we had the fiasco with Google My Business, moving the address, we were getting, I think, 15,000 views a month on Google My Business. We're probably down to 4,500. So it went down over 50%. over the last couple of months. That's why you see me doing different things, because I got to deal with the decline. So I take more calls to have more chances of closing. When the calls are coming in and we can't manage them, I'll put them through a funnel. And, whatever comes through the funnel is great, but, that's fine. So it's about strategy. What in your case, since you're going to, and understand that, and you really need to get on Google My Business. Okay. You don't not neglect Google My Business right now, like from the get-go. You're going to have to do directories marketing and directory listings and get all your directories in there. You can use a software like Yext to do it, which is going to cost you like $700 a year, one time, every year, to manage all of your listings. But whenever a listing goes bad, you know about it immediately. You can monitor it. If not, I'm going to recommend, and I will recommend the guy I'm using now, because he's darn good at it, to manage your Google My Business with the directories listing and maybe a backlink strategy. But in all reality, you're going to have to come up with like $3,000 to get him started. And then about $700-800 a month to manage that. That's the reality, because it is a lot of work, but if you need to get your Google My Business to be number one in the market for 13 miles so that you get the local business, which is where route density is going to come in. Let me tell you, route density is more important than pricing. Because if you can get all those customers nearby together, your cost of travel is going to be a bigger expense for you than the price you're charging the client.
That's correct.
So your route density, if you focus on route density from the get-go and make that your priority, to say, I want everything within 15 to 20 miles of me. I want to be number one within 15 to 20 miles. I want to be number one on Google, but I also want to be number one in the 3-pack in the maps. If you can manage that, you're going to see your phone ring off the hook more than you can handle. The GMB is easier to do than the local. The local, what I'm going to recommend for you to rank is you're going to have to start creating city pages on your website. One
City
for,
page.
yeah, I mean, Austin, well, you're in Austin, right?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay. So if you look at San Antonio as a metro market, it's an entire metro market.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
But you have all the cities that are in between.
Yes.
So if you got 30 cities around you that you want to target, you got to create one page, one city page that you do business in that city. Probably no less than 1,500 words a page. You're going to have to write a lot about that city. Have a backlink strategy for it going out to the main city halls and the local universities. You're going to have to create what is known as a local, what is known as LSI, latent semantic indexing, and you're going to have to learn on-page SEO. That's going to be your challenge, to learn on-page SEO. I got a couple of podcasts on that it hasn't changed very much, because Google now bots are very, very intuitive. They know what you're writing about. SEO is actually easier, but you have to get good at the copywriting, because you got to convince two people. You got to convince the guy reading it, and you got to convince Google. So you got about 30 pages to write alone on the cities. And that's going to be how you're going to get the traffic. And you have to understand how to do good backbone structure for your website, where you have good silos, that everything is in a silo. If this is, for I'm sorry, San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting your cities confused, bro. It's San Antonio?
San Antonio. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for San Antonio, and then all the cities underneath. Go to my website and look at locations we serve.
Oh, I saw that. You have a lot. You have a big list.
That's how I get all the business from all those areas.
Yeah, big list.
And then I will go into, you got to learn into Google Webmaster. You need to set up a Google Webmaster account. And you're going to have to set up a Google Analytics account. Use all the Google tools. They're free. But you're going to have to go to Webmaster and learn how to index that page properly. you're going to have to learn that your site needs to have a proper site index. If you don't have a proper site index, if you don't get these things right, you're never going to rank. You're going to have a glorified business card. So if you're not prepared to spend the next 20 hours a week learning SEO for on-page website SEO, the basics, and then start doing it over the next 90 days, then you're probably going to have to hire an SEO company. The problem is, here's how I would find an SEO company. Don't go in the groups and ask what they're using. Get out of that. Go to a local air conditioning business. Go and see who's ranking in your market and call them that are non-competing. Don't go to your pest control competitor and ask them, because that's a conflict of interest. But go to the AC guy, the plumbing guy, all the home service businesses, the garage door guy that is ranking, and say, hey, bro, I'm a local pest control company. I'm looking for an SEO company. Who are you using? And do you like them? Because if they're ranking, the guy's doing something right. Stop asking in the groups, because the groups can't help you. And a lot of the time, what I find in the groups, which is how I got burned, is that they're getting kickbacks from these SEO guys to market in there, and they're really not who they say they are. And I got burned. That's how most of the guys that I've talked to that got burned, because I'm getting the calls and say, yeah, you use this? Yeah, I use them too. I got burned. So, if somebody's already giving, how do you know the guy can produce results? He's on the first page of Google. That's how you know he can produce results. But if you think you're going to get it done for $100 a month, we're talking $3,000 to $5,000 investment up front, and, $600 to $1,500 a month to do that. Option 2, go to ads. Don't waste your money on SEO. Just Google My Business, because you need that. The moment you start getting customers, you start asking for Google reviews from day one. Your goal is to rack up as many Google reviews as you can from your clients. That's what's going to get you to rank. And get as many as you can. And then if you have to, get software that automates that. So every time you do a service, it keeps sending them an email. Like we have it on our order form and our report and our invoice. Hey, this is Jesse. I just did a great service for you. If I did a great service for you, hey, do me a favor, give me a review. Here's the link. It's automated. It comes up on the report that the customer gets on every service that we do. So every single service, they're getting asked on every initial, on every reminder. Every time they turn around, we're asking for a review. That's what's going to help you rank on that 3-pack. If you don't get the reviews, I don't care how good that guy's SEO is. It's not going to happen. Those are social signals. I would look at ads. I would be looking at being on Nextdoor. Definitely being on Nextdoor. That's a platform that's really powerful right now if you learn how to use it. Posting also to your Google My Business account daily. A blog post about pest control. Look at my Google My Business. We post daily. Check that out so you can see it. You need to then look at doing maybe targeted Facebook ads.
Yes. That's one idea that I had, targeted Facebook ads.
And to the areas that you want. Don't go everywhere. Do a 13-mile radius. I always like to keep, especially when you're in big cities where there's a lot of highway and traffic and stuff, I would say 13 miles, top 18 miles radius. So I would say if you do Facebook ads, it's going to be your number one. And you got to learn to do them. If you don't, get somebody that knows how to do the copywriting for it. If you're not good at copywriting, if you're not good at writing convincing sales material, because that's the key. It's not the ad, it's writing a good copy. I struggle with it, and I hire some people to do it, and then I'll run the ads myself. I'll manage the ads. I'll do the ad management. I can keep a track on the dollars. Look at Nextdoor advertising. because next door advertising is really good. Remember, here is what I tell people. What works for one guy in one market will not work in another market. So you do all of it. You perfect it. You do A/B split testing. That's where your money's going to be spent. Your first 60 to 90 days is testing, because you don't know what's going to work. You just got to have a budget for testing, knowing you're going to lose. And you go in with that perspective saying, I'm going to lose, not by the marketing guy. Oh, we're going to do great. Within 30 days, you're going to see this baloney. They're going to have to test because they don't know. So you go in with that mentality, you're safe. So yeah, definitely Nextdoor, Facebook, and depending on your competition, you could do some Google AdWords. And what you can target is low price AdWords that nobody's targeting. Words that only cost you $5 a click that other people aren't targeting. You won't get a lot of traffic, but you will get the calls. It's your job to sell them. Remember, the marketing doesn't convert people. It's the salesman's job to convert. You're trying different things. But if you do a strategy where you can get a group of keywords that produce 20 clicks a month and you convert 50%, that's 10 sales a month on low price keywords that nobody's targeting. Remember, all the guys in the big markets are going for the big keywords because they can afford to buy them at $25 a click. They're ignoring underpriced markets that but people are still searching for those keywords.
I was going to ask you something earlier, but I kind of waited and to see what you think about. In my website, I put will be competitor's price. Is that something you would be okay with?
I wouldn't. It's irrelevant. What you got to convince the customer of in the conversation is that you know your market.
Okay.
So when the customer says, "Oh, are you comparing prices right now? Who is your previous company? Oh yeah, I know their price. Here's their price." Now they know you know. I said, if you're going to compare prices, we're probably, and here's what I would say, we're probably going to be the most expensive. You can't be afraid of being the most expensive. Here is a psychological fact about pricing. When the customer cannot see the quality, pest control is intangible. You can't touch it. It isn't like a Louis Vuitton purse. When they cannot see the differentiating factors, they're going to default to price as thinking that the quality is higher because the price is higher. What does the average technician do? They think counterintuitive. This is counterintuitive. They think, oh, I have to be lower in order to get more sales because I can't be a high quality company. Understand that the psychological effect is, you got to let that play out in the customer's mind. And then what you do is you come in with a USP. Here's why we're different. Figure out what everybody else is saying and say something different. The fact that you got pink, you're already different. The fact that you understand women, the fact that you've been an educator, come across as the consultative sales guy instead of the sleazy sales guy.
Yeah, because many of the websites that you see, they'll say, honest. We're honest.
Everybody's honest.
Everybody's honest. Everybody's honest. You better be honest if you come to my house.
Yeah. No, look, there's nobody saying, oh, we're deceptive. We're just going to have deceptive practices.
That's right.
but you need a USP that, in other words, figure out in a paragraph, in a sentence, what is your unique selling proposition that you bring to the client? The fact that your colors, the fact that you're conscientious about their home, sell what's important to your target client. Now, you haven't done any marketing research to see how many calls are coming in are women and how common are men. Most of the time, if it's a general, listen to this. If it's a general household pest problem, it's going to be a woman. If it's a lawn problem, it's usually going to be a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's a termite problem, chances are it's going to be a man that you're dealing with, because this is a big expenditure. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. People think, oh, I'll let my husband handle that because he's still the main breadwinner. Although that changed a couple of years ago, where women were more women employed than men. And I still get more calls from women than men. I'm going to look through my numbers for the last 60 days, see how many calls were from men, how many came in from women, and I can. But again, you don't. And this is a big debate on the marketing. Should I have bugs or shouldn't I have bugs on my images? If you're dealing with women, don't.
Exactly. I knew that. I knew that because I have an aunt that if you just say the word roach, she freaks out.
Yep. And the thing is, here's the backdrop. If you're going to do SEO, the word has to be in there, because if not, you won't rank for it. So in your main page,
but not the images.
Not the images. You need to have the words in there. And if you look at my site, I don't have images. I have icons.
I saw that.
Because icons are not as offensive. People can get it. This is a bug. In their mind, you have to use neuro-linguistic programming.
Except your bed bug.
Yeah.
And a flea, right? You have a flea in there?
No, I got a bed bug. It's actually a bed bug icon. It's just not a creative bed bug. But the person gets it. It's mine association. This is a bug. It's different than the other bugs I'm looking at. I don't have, because here's what the guy said. Oh, that's not a real bed bug you got in there. All the entomological guys that don't know how to market, that are solo operators, will criticize me and says, oh, that's not a real bug. That's, because they're getting into all the minutia details of everything and the semantics when the customer doesn't care. The only one that cares is you. And who are you marketing to? Your competition to get their approval, or the customer's approval? I could care less what my competition thinks of me, because my competition thinks I'm nuts already. They thought I was nuts when I told them 10 years ago I'm going to go eco-friendly. It ain't going to happen. You can't do it. Nobody will pay for it. Miami sucks. If you listen to all these guys, it's doom and gloom. It's always doom and gloom. So, and especially your competition, they're, inside people are rooting for you. And then also they're rooting that you fail. I mean, it's a double-edged, they don't really, they want you. I want you to be successful. Just no more successful than me.
Yeah.
That's
the way it is. That's the way it is. And I understand it.
You got to understand it's competition.
I understand it.
Hey, it ain't personal. It's just business.
Business.
Yeah, bro.
And again, Frank, the good thing is that I am enjoying this process.
Good. And that's important, because for a lot of people, it's frustrating.
And it's not frustrating. And I can grow, and maybe little by little until, like I grew as a teacher for 21 years. Maybe I can grow little by little as you will.
Let me just go in here and see if there's people online. Anybody's got any questions? I'm just looking at it, keeping an eye on it.
Did you have viewers on Facebook?
Yeah, we had like 9, and then we had 13 comments. Yeah, so we don't. Hey, look, I found out that I would follow people that have 200,000 followers on Facebook or whatever, and then when you look at their live sessions, there's maybe less than 1% of people on there. I was looking at the other day at the White House. They only have 1.5 million subscribers. The White House does, and they only had 243 people online when they were doing a live. I mean, we're 3 billion people in the country. I don't know what the number is. So live following is very for hardcore people usually that follow me. So very few people are actually going to, in the middle of the day, interrupt their day to listen to a live when they know I'll record it and then I'll put it on later, and then I'll have 250 views on it. But the engagement is nice for those that want it. I learned you give it to people the way they want it, not the way you prefer it. As mostly for my marketing, the business model for how we service, we're exclusively we're, by all intents and purposes, we are an exclusive exterior pest control company. Because if we manage all your pests outside, you rarely will have a problem inside. And that's just basic biology. this idea, and is it hard? The question I get, is it hard to convince people of that? Not when you have done your branding and your marketing correctly. Nobody goes to McDonald's saying, oh, I wish I had a Chick-fil-A sandwich. They don't. They're buying what they buy at McDonald's because that's what they're used to. When they want a Chick-fil-A sandwich, they go to Chick-fil-A. If you do your brand,
I don't think we have anybody in San Antonio like your business. Do you know
you
of
don't,
anybody?
because most people don't. Most people in the industry don't believe in it. They think there's customers that don't want it. See, in other words, if I don't like it, here's the mentality that's wrong. If I don't like it, therefore nobody else likes it. Well, the world isn't you. In the car business, if you've been in the car business, you know that there's a saying, there's a seat for every ass. You know, I mean, you go and you have the most hideous car on the lot and somebody will come and buy it. So this idea, but if you know who your customer is, do the market analysis. If you, I mean, look at how many natural food stores there. I mean, do you have a Trader Joe's? Do you have these guys who sell organic fruits and organic vegetables? How many yoga studios are there? Partner with these people. Go, hey, man, we're a holistic pest control company. You know, you sell organic. We sell, I guarantee you that Whole Foods, most of the Whole Foods that I know don't have an IPM service in their store. And they sell organic produce. And they don't have an IPM service in their store. So again, it's understand that you are like a bug in the sense that you're opportunistic. You got to find the opportunity. You know what? A great book that'll open up your eyes if you haven't read it, Blue Ocean Strategy. Here's the top 5 books that I'll recommend. The E-Myth. Have you read the E-Myth?
No.
I would recommend before you do anything, read the E-Myth.
E-Myth.
Yeah. Before, because you're not that far along in your marketing where you can't pivot this and change it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
You're not that far along. So it's much easier to correct yourself now when the ship hasn't left the port than when you're in the middle of the ocean. That's a hard one to turn around. E-Myth is number 1. The E-Myth Revisited is the one you really want. You're going to want to read Profit First. I think that's Mike Michalowicz. Okay. And then I want you to read Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz also. Because E-Myth tells you everything you're going to experience before you experience it. Clockwork tells you how to fix it. E-Myth doesn't tell you how to fix it. I know a lot of people are going to say, no, use this other program. Unless you're $1 million, that program doesn't work for you.
That's right.
You know, so I would read that. Profit First is important. It's not a bad word. And then you got Profit First, Clockwork, Michalowicz, and then get Blue Ocean, because Blue Ocean helps you dream about how do you differentiate yourself in a marketplace. And that's what's going to help you get your USP. I think that right there, if anybody's listening to me right now, they're wanting to start a business, get this under your belt first, because when you're in it, you're going to say, I wish I would have known that. If I would have known that, I would have never done this. This allows you to evaluate a lot of that, because this is about strategy that we're talking about. Getting down to tactics is very granular. A lot of details that we can't discuss on a podcast that would require consultation and would require ongoing. When you run into the problem, how do we do this? When you run into, how do we do this? I'm deciding this. Do I go this route or this route? That's granular. You know, so what we got to do is we got to be able to look at the big picture and say, what's going to differentiate you? Because if the only thing is price, you're doomed. You're doomed. You'll never recover from price, by the way. The moment you give the customer a low price, you will never be able to increase it.
Yeah.
You're done.
You lose them.
I would rather you start high and tell the customer, okay, Mr. Customer, you don't want to pay this price. I have option B for you and option C, like the dealer does.
That's right.
And I'll give you 3 price options, but understand you're giving something up in the process. You can't have everything. In other words, you can't say to your boss, I want dental, I want vision, I want medical, and I want everything covered. I want 0 out of pocket, no deductible, and I don't want to pay a copayment. That's going to cost a fortune when you want that kind of service. This is kind of what we offer, but we sell a super premium service, and then we can bring it down. When a customer comes and says, I want mosquito, I want the house, I want the lawn, you're at $500 a month.
Okay, Mike, Frank, I was just about to ask you a question with those 3 things. You know, somebody calls you right now in Miami, nice sunny day. They say, hey, it's about a 2,800 to 3,000 square foot house, nice house, pool. You know, they got their dogs, they got a nice lawn, you got your palm trees, you know, all that nursery. And hey, you know, I saw a little bit of spiders here and there. Go ahead and take care of the situation, please.
Right.
What do you do and how do you upgrade?
Okay, so what I do is I have a conversation with the client. I mean, that when a customer wants one service, that's easy. I can quote that. It's you want a mosquito service, it's $99 a month. Here's our process. It shows my IntoCare station that we use bait, that we use insecto, that we use this, that we use that, and I have a video. So I have a video for everything, because most times people are going to ask me, Frank, what do you do? And they have no idea. I can't explain what holistic pest management is. Let me show you. Here's a video. Watch that. And then if you feel comfortable about getting a quote, give me your property info, fill out that form. On that form is everything I need to make a decision. It tells
You
me how
bundle
many.
everything. How do you upgrade your sale? How do you bundle?
Okay, so what I do is most customers aren't going to upgrade because we do not discount for bundling. Why? Because I don't have to.
Okay, I got
I mean, I don't have to. I sell Bentleys and Rolexes to people that can afford Bentleys and Rolexes. If you want a $49 lawn service, there is 15 companies in Miami that'll do it, but you're going to get a 20-year-old kid that's going to go there, spray it with a mix tank. He has no idea one plant from another. If you're having a one, you know, I got estates that are $10 million. They're $400 a month for a 6,000 square foot garden. That's how I do it, because that's who I sell to. So I don't have to, I'm not shameful of my price. I'm not apologetic, but when I go and you've got $150,000 worth of landscaping, you're not going to complain about a $400 a month bill. When you have palm trees that nobody else has. So how do we upgrade? It's very simple. I look at the property. I say, tell me what you got. Because usually they're calling me because there's already a problem. I've got these Ixoras. I've got this palm tree that is sick. I said, send me a picture. All right, so here's what you got. Here's what I have. I usually will say, what do you want? All we sell right now, if the customer can't sign up with me with a premium package, he's not my customer. Move on. I don't care to lose the sale. It doesn't bother me. So right now, my minimum is a 6,000 square foot lawn at $20 per 1,000 square feet per month. But, you know, X company charges $49 a quarter. I said, that's what your lawn looks like crap. Because there's no way I can deal with a problem every 4 months. I can't deal with weeds, diseases, irrigation problems. That's not what we sell. We do irrigation inspections. So what I do is, okay, tell me about what you got. And I tell them up front, I said, listen, I need an address. And then I go on my map, on my county map, and I put up all that property info. And I see he's got a driveway, he's got a pool, he's got palm trees here, he's got all this over here. I see how much lawn he has. I said, well, he only has 2,000 square feet of lawn. I said, Bo, my minimum price is $129 a month right now. Can you swing it? He says, no, that's ridiculous. I'm like, there's no sense in going on with that conversation. He's not going to get convinced that he needs to pay $120 a month. I don't waste my time. It's like when you walk into the Mercedes dealership, it's 115,000 for that vehicle. Take it or leave it. But I'm in a position where I branded myself for 7 years. I built up the reputation. I sell exclusivity. I mean, are you getting bio fertilizers right now? I don't know. You know, what percentage of your weeds? How much can you tolerate? How many percent? I asked them, what percentage of your lawn can you tolerate for weeds? I have no tolerance for weeds. I said, then I need to be there monthly. I can't miraculously eliminate weed for 3 months. So I consult the client on what he wants, and what my clients want. I'm a lawyer. This is a $10 million estate. I don't want to worry about anything.
Do what you got to do.
And my fee for lawn and ornamental is $259 an hour. That's my fee. So if I'm there on your property, it's going to take 2 hours for me to be on your property every month to solve all of these problems. It's $500 and something a month. It's that simple. I know what my price is. I know what I bring to the table. I know my reputation. And we back it up. Because if that lawn doesn't look nice, you're fired. It's that simple. I know what my price is. I know what I bring to the table. I know my reputation. And we back it up. Because if that lawn doesn't look nice, you're fired. These guys do not play. It's that simple. You know, so you got to differentiate what it is that you're going to do in a very simple service. If you got to do a mosquito program, what does your mosquito program look like? Are you going to include Intercare? Can you include Intercare? Is it going to be a spray program? Since you're thinking holistically, I do an aerial view. I've learned to do aerial views of properties and see what is around them. I can see those drains, those sewer drains that have to be treated by the city. I said, have you called your city and have them come out and inspect those drains for larvae? Because you don't have on your property anything that would indicate that you have a breeding site on your property.
You're saying exactly.
But I sell entomology. I don't sell contracts.
That's
so why am I going to sell a guy on a spray service that he's going to call me next month and complain he still has mosquitoes and lose the client and get a bad review? I'm just honest that way. I just had one the other day. Customer called me with a specialty plant. And I said, who do you have as your company? Oh, I have this company. I said, well, they're a good company. Honestly. They're a very good company. They're my competitor. And I said, honestly, if they haven't solved it, I won't be able to solve it for you. I know what they do. We're dealing with the same problem. We were actually together on site, me and them, while I brought entomologists down from the USDA to deal with that specific problem. And they were with me that day. So why am I going to BS the customer and saying, yeah, I'm great, when I know I'm not going to be able to solve it? Why would I take on a client that I can't solve a problem for? So I've learned where to pick my battles. What I don't like, if I get a crawl space client right now and he's got damaged crawl space vents and he's got rats and he's got roaches, if he doesn't commit to repairing that first, I simply tell him, I'm not taking you as a client. I walk away because I know I'm never going to be able to satisfy him. It's going to be a constant problem where their last 6 companies have failed because they signed the contract knowing the customer wasn't going to fix that problem. So unless you can spend $2,000 to repair all those vents, you're not going to be my client because I don't have magic juju juice that I can fix this for. So I simply let them know, here's the quote for the repair. If you do the repair, here's the quote for the pest control. If you don't, we don't do either.
So you do those repairs yourself. Yeah. So you offer that to them also.
Yeah, we offer them to them. But understand that I already know. And I go to the client and says, no, because if you switch for 5 companies, you're obviously expecting a result. You're unhappy. Nobody's going to satisfy you. So why take on a client you're not going to satisfy? So I look at the aerial view. I look at the property. I look at how many bathrooms. I look at the age of the construction, but I already know my market. I know where the construction problems are in parts of the county where the construction is different. I'm aware of all this. So I know that, hey, we'll do the rodent trapping, but I let them know, listen, this is $800 for us to go over there, start a rodent trapping program. And if you don't seal the problem, you're going to be calling me after a week after I've done 4 trappings. And you're going to say you haven't eliminated my problem. And I'm going to say it's $109 to $129 per trip. And you're going to rack up $1,000 bill and you're going to be upset. So if you're not going to fix the repair problem, know that you're going to continue to have a rat problem. And it's going to take me at least 2 months to bring down a population in your area. So understand the expectations are clear, and it's in my contract. I write it into my contract that I told you, unless you do this, this, and this, I can't guarantee it. And by the way, you're going to pay double for me than you pay for everybody else.
Real quick, I saw you because I don't know where to get this product. You had the mesh, and then you had those little, and you built your own little vents. Where'd you buy the material?
That's from AAC. That comes from AAC distributor. I can send you a link on that. American Air Conditioning and Vent, something they do it. I've got here's a little piece of it right here on my desk. And anybody's wondering, this is a poly-coated aluminum that comes with a frame that you can easily put around and make those. Those are from AAC. This is the product we use to make all our vents because we got to make them custom every time.
Exactly. I mean, I don't see that in Home Depot.
No, you can't get it. The stuff they sell, the vents are too big, so you're still going to get mice through it. This will stop. If you want to get really picky with this, you can do a backing with aluminum screening, like just regular screen, and then you can block off. Then you can block off mosquitoes also and ants. This will do up, a roach. It'll stop roaches. It'll stop, your pill bug could probably get through there. But for rodent, mice, large insects, they're not going to get, lizards, they're not going to get through there. That's what we use because we got to custom make them because the other doors are too expensive to pre-order them and the market will not support it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So you got to kind of like,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that? I just quoted one for $1,000 for 8 vents, $1,000 from a school that is a super rich school. That is a French school that they're in the middle of one of the richest places and all the vents are damaged because they had air conditioning damage for years. They never fixed it. And says, we can't get anybody to control the roaches. The reason you can't control the roaches is because all those vents are open. They're all climbing in. And then I showed them underneath all of the bathrooms and how they've had these big giant holes that they haven't fixed. They're just walking in. I said, there isn't a pest control company on the planet that can solve this problem for you. And now you got students and you're putting them at risk because you won't spend $1,000 when you're an ultra rich school. Makes no sense to me.
That's right.
So I hit them between the eyes and they got to decide if they want to be with me. If not, move on. But I'm not going to entertain the idea that I'm going to take you on as a client without you fixing it and I'm going to fail.
Exactly. Yes, it's going to continue. You don't want that.
So we walk away. We have no problem walking away with a client that isn't going to cooperate, especially when they're wanting eco-friendly, because the idea is they think I'm going to come in with Ecovia, with Essentria and spray the whole school. If I spray a school with Essentria, I will inevitably have one student start having an asthma attack. You can't do it. You got to use IPM. I don't want to use IPM. I want you to use something stronger, but only on the outside. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. So I got to educate that school director on IPM.
That's correct.
And exclusion and sanitation and all the problems. I said, look at that vent. I said in the bathroom, that floor drain. You got slits in it. That's big enough for an American roach to walk in. Swap that plate out with one that has little tiny holes because you're not even putting anything down that drain. And watch how that American roach stops walking right in. Simple fix. Look at this door. It has 1/4 inch between the 2 metal doors. Call a door company and have them install a new seal on that aluminum, swinging door.
That's correct.
And you're going to stop them from coming in. Without stopping them, I can't fix this for you. It's an illusion.
Or you do it for them and it's extra charge.
Right. In some cases we can, and in some cases we can't, because we got to be able to find, we're not door experts. So I can't find that trim, but a door expert says, yeah, I know what manufacturers that is. I'll get it in, order it. We'll install it next week. Some things aren't worth for us to get in because we're not experts at it. I got to know where I can make this, cut it. I can cut it any shape. I can, fix her holes. I can do this. But on a fabricated door that is 50 years old, they either have to swap out the whole door, or they got to find somebody who knows what they're doing with doors. It's like garage doors. I'm not going to get into the garage door replacement seal business, because now I got to carry 15 different seals for 15 different garage doors. I'm not a garage door expert. Call a garage door guy, get him to fix it. But here's the problem. Look at your concrete. It needs to get leveled. Your seals have gotten old and cracked, and now they're at an angle. That's how these roaches are going in. So we do exterior doors on restaurants, the back doors. We put a strip across the bottom to stop that roach from coming in, but we can install sweeps. That's something we can do. When it comes to now custom manufacturing, we don't want to get into it. It's not worth our time to be experts at everything. So I got to decide, what are we an expert on and what are we not?
Frank, when I was working in that big company as a tech and all those callbacks, you don't get to see the pricing. Sometimes most of the time the invoices did not have the pricing, because they're already because we never did charge. They were already automatically charged.
Okay, let me ask you this.
In the office.
Were you paid by production or hourly?
Hourly.
Yeah, so hourly, they wouldn't have to, but if you're, paying production, you have to, because I got to know, what you charge that client.
I was just hourly. So that's why many of the pricing, I don't know.
Okay, the way you do it is you work the law of averages. You call the top 20 in your market, and you get all their pricing.
And that I got.
And then what you do is you put it on a spreadsheet. You put it 169 initial, bi-monthly price is this, quarterly price is this. You put them all together, and at the bottom, you go to your summary and say, what's the average price? And you see the fluctuation. And you see, okay, here's the average, the median price, and here's what individually these companies are charging. Where do I need to be in my pricing to be competitive? Because you're never going to be able to be double and be competitive. Right. It doesn't exist. That's a fallacy. We're double on a lot of things because of what we do, because of our specialty, not because they're comparing us to the other company. What do you do differently? I get this. What do you do differently than this company? What do you do differently? I says, here's what we do differently. Here's why you're paying more, because it does take a lot longer. I said, that tech that comes in, usually he's there 5 minutes. When we do an initial, it's an hour and a half on that home. So you're paying for time. Time is money. And IPM takes longer, and I got to educate them on IPM. So you get your pricing from all of your competitors that you're going to be competing against. Where
residential, I got residential. Got my question is with a restaurant scenario.
Let me ask you a question. Let's tackle that. Why do you want to do restaurant, and why do you want to do commercial?
I think it opens up a little window there where I can also be successful and have some income.
Okay, but why? I'm gonna drive you nuts right now.
Yeah. Well, one, warehouses I've done before.
Okay.
There hasn't been a problem. Kitchens, I've just been trained on. Never went exactly into.
Right.
And countless hours of training, but I know it's something that I can do. Well, if I think I can do it.
Right. Now, I want you to flip that question. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should be doing it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, the pro and con. You're having in a process where you enjoy a lot of peace and quiet.
Yes.
And tranquility. Yes. You won't have that with commercial kitchens. You will have nothing but problems because they won't listen. I'm a Hispanic. That Cuban restaurant around the corner that has a roach problem isn't going to change their habits. They are not the Ritz-Carlton. Pepe's Taco Shop is not going to change what he does because that's his business. He's not going to change his supplier, which is the one bringing in the product, because there's no chain of custody on that product. We're not dealing with, Ecolab here customers. We're not dealing with Steritech clients. So you're going to be always arguing with, every month you're there and every month it's infested. Every month you're going to be demoralized. Every month there's a complaint. Every month there's a call where you got to service it either before they open or after they open. So if you enjoy having a work-life balance and not being out at 2:00 in the morning servicing a restaurant, that's going to be the downside. I used to do it. I was good at it. And then I evaluated, I don't want to be at 10:00 at night when they close, waiting for the cleaning crew. And why did they leave the floor wet? And why did they clean this up? And why is that garbage can not thrown out? And I talked to the manager and he says, yeah. I already talked to them about it. They won't do it, which makes me sense. Are you really a manager? You see what I'm saying? So
I got it.
So can you do commercial? Can you do commercial warehouses that you can service them during the day on your route? If you're a morning guy and you say, structure the company around you, because people will tell you, you got to structure it around your clients. Your client will want everything from, I want a purple unicorn till I want you here at 2 a.m. Who is your client? So if you say, yes, we will do a warehouse service between the hours of 9 and 5. No, I want you here after 5 because that's when all our people leave, and I don't want you doing a service when our people are here. You got to find another company. We're not that company for you. Simple. Let it be that company that requires that tech to be out at 8:00 at night since 7 a.m. Do you want a lifestyle? And do you want your business to reflect your personality and your lifestyle? Because reality is it does.
Yeah.
The brand and the culture of the company is the owner until you become a mega large company and then you lose your identity.
That's correct.
But if you're still a small owner running a $4, $5, $6 million company, you're kind of still the culture in the company. That's like, $5 or $6 million isn't really that big of a company, even though that's huge if you ever make it that big.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
That's
a huge undertaking, but in comparing to other businesses, it's not really that big of a company. So you're still personally involved. You're still there. You're still the culture. You still got operations managers under you, but you've got a close relationship with everybody there. It's not like a CEO of a $2 billion company. So the reality is, would I want to do commercial kitchens? If you wanted to get the experience under your belt and be satisfied, you could as a hobby. I would not, we got completely out of commercial. We're 100% residential. I only have one interior large commercial account left because they are an organic pet food business.
Okay.
And they want what we offer.
I didn't know about that, Frank. I didn't know about your company. I didn't know it. They don't do restaurants.
We don't. We did when I was doing it, and then I decided it isn't worth it. I'm getting out of it. We had 10, 12 clients. We did great, but they kept reinvesting it every month because they switched suppliers because the suppliers gave them a cheaper price. And they basically told me, we're not going to switch back. And I said, then you're going to lose me because I'm killing myself here with you guys. It's not worth it. So we are primarily an exterior pest control company: mosquito, lawn, garden, flea and tick, perimeter exterior treatment. We only go inside when you are doing an initial, when we're doing follow-ups on those initials, or when you complain that you got a problem inside. So my tech is usually in a property about 20% of the time.
Okay.
If he's got 10 stops in a day, he's only in 2 of them. The rest, we show up when we show up to do it, and we're not asking for permission. Even clients who don't have, security here is big with gates and locks, we install a lockbox. with the key that we only have access for. So if anybody ever gets into that yard, it was our responsibility. Because they've got security and they've got high, these are high priced homes.
Okay.
They need the security. I get it, but they got cameras. They get a notice when we're going. They get a notice when we've been there. But we're not asking if the client, no, but I want you to be here every single time that I come. I said, listen, we're not the company for you. We don't do that. Fine. There's 241 companies that will do that. We got to clear who our client is, because if not, we spend our time with everybody trying to please everybody, and you can't do it. It's not realistic. It's BS. The guy that tells me he's doing all that. And I guarantee you he's killing himself. He's bitter and angry about it. And he can't grow, and he can't find technicians that will put up with that. And he's stuck like Chuck. Don't tell me you're getting it done and you're expanding, you're growing, and you're doing all this. I get it. There's certain markets. That's just the way it's going to be. I get it.
So
For
right
us,
now you don't do warehouses then?
we do one.
Only the one that you told me.
Yep. We only do that one warehouse. We generally don't do warehouse because our prices compared to what the commercial guys are competing for. Why? You're going in spraying with a B&G. Anybody can do that. That's my laundry. It's finished. So why am I going to compete in an arena? I got a blue ocean strategy. Why am I going to compete in a red shark infested ocean?
I got it. I got the mentality. I got it. I know who you are now.
Yeah.
I know who
And
you
that's
are.
it. But understand, you got to have the stomach and the patience for it.
Yeah, I got it.
And you got to be willing to walk away from what isn't good for you.
I got it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. What else you got?
That was pretty much it. And like I said, and that's why I like you, Frank, because you're able to change. Just like you said, I'm not there. I haven't gone on that boat yet. Like you said, on that track. I haven't.
That's
gone
why I
train.
wanted to have this conversation,
You know what I mean?
because I gave you a couple of books to get you to rethink where you think you're going, because you're only seeing things from the outside, but you don't see you don't understand the inner working of the business side. You've seen it from a technician.
Exactly.
And you have sales experience.
Exactly.
But you don't see the inner workings of, if you commit to this now, how will you then undo it? Because it's like children. Once you tell them something and once you do it, you always have to do it.
Oh, but I love it because you just changed my mentality again. You're right about all those restaurants. They close late at night. I'll be up late at night. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That's why, I'm already an older man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
How old are you now?
I'm 47.
Okay, so we're not that far apart. I'm 50. I'm going to be 52 this year. Yeah.
47.
I mean, and you got it. And what I would really, 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 really help you focus on right now at that age is that you got to figure out a way how you quickly get yourself out of that truck and put a young technician in there. And how do you become a manager and a business leader and a businessman versus a technician? Get yourself as quickly as you can out of the mentality that you're a technician, that you're going to do it all yourself, that nobody can do it like me, because that's the biggest trap that you're going to fall into, is saying nobody can do it like me. And since nobody can do it like me, I'll just do it myself. And bro, let me tell you, friend to friend, man to man, that's ego. That's nothing but ego. You got to get that out of the way.
Things that I am a micromanager.
And you got to not do that. And you can't.
I want to do everything.
You can't. You got to get yourself out of that mentality that, guess what? Here, if you use the 80-20 rule, are you familiar with Pareto principle? With the 80-20 rule? Okay.
No, just right now, what you've been discussing.
Okay. The 80-20 rule is the Pareto principle. It was not a finance guy, but an economist. He was an Italian economist. He quickly found out that 80% of all the money in the world was owned and managed and controlled by 20% of the population. That's the Pareto principle. What we quickly find out is in nature, and in everything else, that seems to fit to about everything. If you can find a kid who is 24 years old, if you will create protocols, policies, and procedures, how everything is supposed to be done, and you train on it, and if he does it 80% as good as you, you're golden. Because the customer is never going to see that big 20% shift. It's an illusion. Understand that you don't want a guy that you can now, because I'm good at sales, I expect him to be, everybody that comes work for me be good at sales, because you're never going to get that either. Because only 20%, if you got 10 technicians, only 20% of those technicians are going to be great salespeople. The rest are going to be mediocre or non-existent. So unless you decide you're going to hire people only that can sell and do, then you have that clear that that's what you're expecting. But if not, if I can get a technician that just focuses on being personable, likable, shows up on time, and just follows the protocols, I'm golden. I just had a conversation last night with another technician. His guy went into the attic. We talked about it. The day before, he had a carpenter ant problem. And I said, Bo, just bait the attic. I have a blower. I blow it in. Oh, can you use the B&G blower and get it in there? Yes, you can. Use that. Sends me a picture of a hole in the roof. His technician crawled to get the product because he was throwing it by hand. Hand went through the ceiling. Customers complaining. Now he's got a repair job and he's blaming the technician. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Didn't I tell you that you're supposed to train? You're training by abdication. You told them to throw it in there. You didn't give them the tool to throw it in there. You didn't give him the proper instruction to say, this is how you do it. And then you're mad at him because he was trying to do a good job because he couldn't reach it because he's a big guy and in the crawl space hole is this big and he's trying to throw it with his hand. And you're pissed off now because you got to pay for that repair. And that's what you're really pissed off at. That's your fault. So if you've got protocol, policy, and procedure, mine is on 2 pages. And 4 pages of biology. That's it. As a teacher, I made it super simple. Now what I got to do is teach you on, here's how you actually do it. And here's why this is a reminder of what you missed. And now he says, no, I agree. You're right. But you were too busy and you didn't want to go in the field with him. And you didn't want to teach him how to do that right because I assume he knew how to crawl into a crawl space. You know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. And that's exactly what happened. Thank God it was a cheap house and not a big giant 4,000 square foot mansion where the guy is demanding that his entire 4,000 square feet of ceiling be repainted to match that repair. Because now you're talking a major bill because you decided it wasn't important. Attention to detail matters. If you keep your eye as a micromanager, if you focus on the details and then teaching those details to your people, you're going to be fine. I got my tech. He's a 2-year tech now. Bro, there isn't anything that kid can't solve. He's 26 years old. I have to go in the field with him once a month. There was a drain fly problem in a house with a crawl space. And I said, that house had a repair done. They did a remodeling job. You've been there twice. I went with him on the 3rd time. I give him 3 shots. But if he hadn't gotten the population was getting worse. That's not normal. It should be getting better. If it's getting better, I'll let him slide and I'll let him go the 3rd time. And if it isn't solved, then I'll go. I got to manage my time. I can't be on every call, micromanage. Oh, because he didn't do it, be paranoid. No, I'm trusting the process here. I let him do it. Got worse. The customer sends me, look, I put out these giant glue boards and they're all full. It says, ask her if she's got a problem in her plumbing. She says, no, we don't have a problem in our plumbing. I said, there's a problem in the plumbing. I guarantee you there's a problem in the plumbing. That's not normal. Biology 101. We're treating and there's larvae coming out of there. Hours after we treated, they should all be dead. I go out to the property, I search, I go in the crawl space, I look, I'm not going to crawl in a crawl space. I said, listen, you've got a problem in the plumbing. There's nothing outside. There's no organic matter. They're not flying outside. There's something in the plumbing. She was adamant there wasn't. She finally gave in and calls the plumber. Sends me a text. I'm going to send you the text later. Hey, you were right. He found 3 cracks in the plumbing, 1 underneath and 2 in the wall. It was the original cast iron pipe that had cracked and rotted and literally disintegrated. And now sewer was just pouring into her. And I can smell it when I opened the hatch. So she got the whole line replaced. He went in. Second service, the problem is almost gone now. We treated the crawl space for sewage and all that with DSV, and we sprayed it all under there. And now she says they're almost gone. I only see a few. I said, biology 101. If you teach your people biology, the chemistry part is easy. So you're saying I'm a micromanager. Every person that about goes in as a technician is because that's what they're used to be doing. You're used to controlling your environment, but you got to learn that nobody's going to do it. Just get it out of your mind and just accept it, that that's just ego. Because the two worst things that are going to hold you back is going to be perfectionism, and worse than perfectionism is idealism. And here's a guy talking to you that's an idealist. And that's what held me back. That I wanted to do something that I couldn't achieve because I couldn't get it perfect. What did I learn to do? After much counseling, I put it out when it's 80% and let the market fix it. I don't worry if the product is 95%. These perfectionist guys will want to do it and they never move. Just move, fix it along the way. Get it out there and just fix it along the way. But you got to have the stomach for the criticism and the research and development and all this. If you can get a guy, and if you learn to hire, I would suggest that you start taking courses now on HR recruiting. Not HR, because people think HR is important. It is, but you can hire an HR person, consultant, to deal with all the legal parts. Nobody's going to teach you how to hire. You're going to have to fail at it 100 times before you figure it out. Hire an HR consultant that can tell you how to recruit. But if you take the sales and marketing skills of acquiring customers and then you apply them to recruiting, then you got to know how to hire. How do you find out if the person has the soft skills? I would look at a company called Criteria Corp and Predictive Index. It's going to cost you about, to hire your first guy buying that software, it's like $2,000. But you learn how to do personality profiles. You learn to look what you're looking for. If you consult with an HR recruiter, he says, this is the profile you're looking for. And then you have a 50-50 chance of hiring the right guy versus an 80-20 chance of hiring the wrong guy. So it isn't perfect. It's a skill you have to develop. If you start doing it now, when you get ready to hire, you won't be in that crossroad and say, what the hell do I do now? Because you're planning to grow. You're not young. You need to do it. At least if you can get 3 technicians. Okay, 3 technicians. Let's not go crazy here. 3 technicians that each make, let's say, a minimum in your market. I would venture to say the average route is about $150,000 a year. Unless you're working for a large brand, they're pushing you to get that $225,000 a year. But the average person is going to run about $150,000 in your market. So let's say you've got 3 trucks at $150,000. What's that? 450,000? Okay, 450. 450,000 will produce for you a 6-figure income as an owner. If you do the sales and marketing and hire 1 office staff, you can pull in 6 figures. You go to 600,000, you're doing really well. You're doing $150K a year, easy for you. It's not that hard. If you can't get past the other stuff, you'll always see employees as employees are a nightmare. I hate employees. Whether if you have a paradigm shift, since employees are a blessing because they're going to give me the lifestyle that I want. And then you treat them well and you pay them well. And maybe you're not making 55, 60% like the consultant wants you to make, because somebody has to get shafted in this deal. You got to burn the employee out, or you sell it at a higher price so you can make more profit, or everybody decides they're not going to make as much as everybody else and be happy. And you decide as an owner, if you're making 100,000, you're happy.
Exactly. I was just going to touch on that real quick. From your experience, because you've seen, and you know, you counsel a lot of people, and a lot of people follow you. I have a little bit of a fear going out there and starting up,
right?
Because of the income. Now, fear because there's always a fear,
right?
You know, I have an awesome paycheck in my school. I mean, I have a great income in my school, but thank God, like I said, I own my house, I own I own everything. I don't pay anything but just your utility bills and my cell phone.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm able to be relaxed and all right, you know, I already have my family, I already have my wives, whatever. I'm a solo, you know what I mean? I'm solo, so that's why I can do this right now and be relaxed about it.
Right.
But at an average, when you see people doing this, do you see the jobs? Will those jobs be there? Will there be some income? I don't have to work hard. Do you what do you see usually?
The income is there. There's no question the income is there. And remember that everybody comes from a different place. Most guys have never sold before. If you've never sold before, look, I went into this and I had my income replaced in 6 months. Why? Because I'm a salesman. I went out door to door knocking. I talked to everybody I could, and I replaced my income in 6 months. I never actually had a month where I didn't have income to pay my bills at home. Never did from day one. And I only started out, he had lost all his clients. Think about this. He had less than 50 clients at 35 a month. I think we were like 35. I think, let me see here, 35 times 35. I remember that. $1,200 a month in income. That's it. That's all I had to work with. I had to quickly convert that and double it, and then go out and sell so I can double my business. So if you know you can sell, how good, let's change the conversation from selling to prospecting, because that's really where it's at right now for you. Do you have an advertising budget, like $2,000 a month that you can put in, or no?
Not that much. Not that much.
What realistic number are we talking about?
About 1,000.
It's not too much.
About 1,000.
Okay, so you don't have a lot. Yeah. Okay, let's switch the conversation. How good are you at prospecting, at going door to door knocking?
I'm good because I have a lot of time in my hands. And what's gonna save me right now is that, and I was gonna ask you about this. I have two hotels waiting for me, because I have family members who run the hotels from big chains, very prominent, you know.
So that'll help you out a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. What prospects do you have lined up? You've been talking to people. People are kind of waiting.
Yes.
You know, a lot of that will fall through. I mean, people make a lot of promises, so you don't count out until your chickens have hatched.
That's true. That's true.
But let's say, how good are you at? What did you do before? Did you do mostly residential, or did you do mostly commercial?
Residential.
Okay.
Residential.
Do you have a problem walking through neighborhoods, knocking on doors, and talking to people about what you sell?
Not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I will get my car, stop here, stop there, going to everywhere.
If you can go door to door,
I'm gonna go get her.
If you can go door to door, you can be knocking on people's door after 5 p.m. and go out on Saturdays when they're home and knock on doors, literally knock on their door, cold call, bloody nut. This is bloody knuckles and cauliflower ears. This is not pie in the sky. I say you will have no problem replacing your income in your area 3 to 6 months. You will have more business. You will have 200 accounts before you can think about it.
You know, Dios, that's what I'm.
And if you can continue to do that, you put a technician in that truck, and you continue to do that through every neighborhood until you have no more knuckles left. Because that's the most effective. And what I find is that 99.9% of the people in this industry detest that. They detest the practice. They hate it because they don't know how to be salespeople. They don't know how to prospect, and they hate it. And they'll discourage you from it and say it's a bad idea. People will get upset. But if you're personal and you're respectful and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry to bother you. My name is so-and-so. I'm in the neighborhood doing pest control. As a matter of fact, I just did that, the Jones across the street. Would you be interested in knowing about pest control? No, thank you very much. You walk away. Why waste your time with people who don't want to deal with you? And that's it. And you just keep knocking. If you knock on 100 doors a day, you'll get 10.
Exactly.
If you're good.
Exactly.
Especially if, do you know the Joneses? We just signed up. We just controlled their ant problem 2 weeks ago. There's an opportunity for you to save money, literally, because we're right there across the street. It's a lot cheaper for us to service you if we don't have to make a special trip over here every time. Why don't we bundle yours with her and give you a better deal?
That's right.
That's how you do it. That's it. That's a sales pitch.
That's right.
From a door-to-door salesperson. That is the basic sales pitch. We're in the neighborhood. We have an opportunity to save money. Our normal price is this. If you sign up today, I can give it to you at this price. Are you interested?
Correct.
And if you're okay doing that, no, but everybody's going to criticize me. Who cares? Your business doesn't get paid by the other pest control people. You're not there to impress them.
And I'm one of those people. I don't care what the world says. I'm gonna do this. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And if you can do that, man, then don't worry about so much as marketing. Do the ad. Put up your website. If you can afford some Facebook ads, target them in the same area you're knocking. Here's the beautiful thing about doing targeted ads, because you can release an ad that says, I'm going to be in your neighborhood on Thursday with a special offer for you. And if you're home between this time and this time, I'll stop on in and talk to you about my pest control business. Now it's no longer a cold call. They're expecting you to drop by. So if you're willing to do that, you're golden. Because if you can go on next door and say, hey guys, I'm going to be in your zip code next week. Here's a special offer we have. If you're home, you want me to stop on in, message me. I'll be glad to stop on in that day. Take Facebook and next door and do that. And watch how your route density blows through the roof. Because if you can do door to door, you can fix the route density problem instantly, because that's something you control. You're not dependent on somebody calling you. You're going out and visiting them. You control it 100%. So if you're a control freak, there's your outlet for your control. You see? So I think that those are the things you evaluate when you don't have money. You have a shoestring. If you can knock on doors, this is how I did it. I knocked on doors. I went through neighborhood, and if nobody was home, I left my card.
Exactly. Left the card.
That's it. Leave a little brochure. Hey, we're in the neighborhood. Your neighbor just signed up with us. Hey, if you give me a call, I'd be glad to give you a special price. Make that offer. If you're not there, the special price. If you need to compete, let's say you say, I don't want to be 30% above everybody. I know who's in this area, and I know they're at $189 initial and $89 a quarter. Listen, I know my competitors are at these prices. Who do you have? Yeah, here's their price. I know their price. Why don't I do this? If I give you a lower price because I'm already here.
Already here. That's right.
I give you a little discount, save you maybe 5%, 10%. Route density is going to matter more than that $45 trip. People will cut off their nose to spite their faces. That, oh, I won't sell it for $10 less, but you will drive 45 minutes, which cost you $89 to drive there.
You got it.
I mean, this is the bull crap we have to get over in the industry where we think we're that much smarter because ego gets in the way. If I could do that and I wanted to do that, I'm in a position where next year I can do that because all my bills are paid. My company bills are paid. I can go with a zero initial and blow my competition out of the water and give you a better promise and a better service and a better quality because I have route density. And I don't care less if my competition says you're going to destroy the market. No, I'm going to take your customer. Because I already know these guys are doing $35 initials. That's how I know it, because they're doing 30. I see the ads all pop up with they're all $35 initials. I'll go to zero initial. I don't care. Business is business, competition is competition. But I'm still going to charge my $89 and I'm going to sell it monthly while you're selling it quarterly. And I'll make 6x the money you're making on the same customer. I make it up in the long run.
That's correct.
But we're in a position where I haven't wanted to do that because as long as my margins are high, look, I personally only have to deal with on average 3 clients a day. But I will make $1,500 to $1,800 in 4 hours because that's my client. That's the clientele I kept. My other GHP is what I'm expanding, and I'm hiring another tech for that too. So I personally, to produce my income, I spend more time traveling to the area than I am, but I'm taking care of a very exclusive clientele. And that's it. And so those are the things that I would look at if you're doing market. I think you're gonna, bro, you're gonna be fine. You shouldn't have to worry. I mean, I understand the security of a government job, the paycheck being there, the pension, but you've financially set yourself up for success, which most people can't and haven't. I mean, you've done things wisely where everything is paid off. You could care less if you drive a new car or not. You don't have golden handcuffs. You're not there to impress anybody. You're set free. I mean, you're literally free to do whatever it is the heck you want to do.
Thank the Lord, yes. Thank the Lord, yes.
And that's it, brother. I think you're going to be fine, man. I would not worry. I think
my family members are on board putting logos on their vehicles.
Wow, you got a lot of support, bro.
You know what I mean? All my family members are, hey, come and put your logos on all the vehicles.
Yeah.
So.
No, I bro, do focus on Google My Business, that 13-mile radius. Let's recap, because that's going to be your number one priority. Start posting on creating a Facebook page and a little Nextdoor page. Nextdoor is very helpful. And if you can put the ad money, maybe you want to only do Nextdoor, because you can do Nextdoor for like an entire zip code for like $100 and something a month. I mean, it's really cheap right now. It's undervalued. I mean, I did an entire market with 7 zip codes for $400 a month. And that's a population of about 500,000. So it all depends. And you got to do multiple ads and multiple things. But I think Nextdoor for you, and if you post and do postings and interact with people, if you're good with social media, if you find the mommy groups, here's another free way. Remember, it's either time or money. You don't have both usually. But right now, if you can get into the local groups, like the local community groups on your local community, and say, hey guys, look, I'm a local guy. I'm not going to sell you on anything, but if you got a pest question, I'd be glad to answer it. And then, hey, he did the service for me. He's great. People start referring you in that group, in that local group. That's free, but it takes time. You got to be on that phone monitoring your Facebook group. But that works because now you have, the idea is to stay so local. Micro, like think about realtors when they micro farm an area. This is nothing new. Micro farming is nothing new. Figure out what is available to you and test. And spend a couple $100 on a Facebook ad.
Okay.
For a week. The beauty of this is you can turn it on, turn it off. You're not committed. You can test. Hey, a local, for people in this area, my local people, this is where I'm at. I'm local with you guys. I'm willing to give you a price break. You can get a $20 discount if you live in this area only.
Perfect.
You know, that thing, so you can keep it. I have no problem discounting. I have no problem with a lot of things, because you got to know where your market. Every market is different. You got to know what you're limited to do. What you do now, guess what? You probably won't need to do in 5 years. But you need to do it now.
Exactly.
You got to survive. As long as you're not going in and killing the market where you're, you know, everybody is at $65 and you're doing a $35 service, that's really bad, because it's bad for you. Because you will never have the income that you need to actually grow. So you're really cutting, you think you're cutting your competition's throat, you're actually cutting your own throat.
And working hard to double to meet that first one.
To meet that number. So why not just figure out if you can give a little bit here to get the density, and, you know, outside of that area, you charge more. Like I got an area here, like I know there's a big national brand that they don't price based on the square foot of home. They price it based on the market it's in. They know what the customer is willing to pay. So I got a client that's 60 miles from me, but we go into that area. It's a very wealthy area. Here in Miami, that price is $69 every 3 months. Over there, $159 a month. Because they price it based on market. So your local guy, you want that route density. It's more important that because you're going to pay for it either in advertising. So give a discount if you have to give a discount. Because if not, you have to pay for it in advertising, or you got to pay for it in mileage and in windshield time.
That's right.
I mean, we're in business to do business. We got to know our costs. And if this thing lowers our cost because somebody else is going to get offended because you discounted, you use the word discount. I don't care. You know, this is what we do as business. You know, this is the reality of where the rubber meets the road, not what I would ideally wish that everybody thinks nicely of me.
Yeah. That's what I told that's exactly what I told my students. Hey, I don't come here to be your friend, to be your dad, to be your mom. I come here to educate you.
Exactly.
So you can be able to succeed. Simple as that. You don't have to like me. You don't have to love me. I come to teach you.
Yep. And that's it. As long as the one that has to be happy with you always is your customer.
There's no customer.
That's it. Nobody else. You don't pay your bills with anybody else's opinions. I have a saying that, you know, it's kind of crude, but opinions are like buttholes.
Everybody has one.
Everybody has one. And most of it comes out as crap.
That's right.
So, you know, bro, hey, you know, that's my 2 cents on this, bro.
Oh, Frank, I'm very, very happy. I mean, again,
yeah, brother.
You were put into my path again. I mean, who else does this? Nobody except you. So I really appreciate it, man. It's and I'm sure I'll be bugging you.
Yeah, man, call me.
More and
no
more
pun
and
intended,
more.
right?
You know, and it's great. It's great. I mean,
yeah. If you got look, if you, I'm gonna give a plug to another guy who is awesome at what he's doing, differently than me, and that is Seth Garber at Pest Daily.
Seth Garber.
Seth Garber at Pest Daily. If you're wanting to know how to sell and market and expand, he's doing a bang up job of that with people. He's got a very economical $69 a month for his course. I think, I don't know where it's at, somewhere around there. And you got unlimited access to everything. The guy knows what he's doing. I mean, you're not going to agree with him if your ego clashes, but I can't tell you he's wrong either. It's just, you might not like his method or something. He does private consulting. He is pricey, you know. He only takes on so many private consulting gigs. Pero if you get to that point where you're up against the wall, you know, if we ever decide going into termite, look into it. I would not discount termite. It's a big money maker. That's what pushes your business. I had lawn and ornamental to replace termite for decades. I never needed it. I'm finding out that I need it now, and that's why I'm doing it. But then I would be talking to Paul Bello. And
Yeah.
another guy that's good on the scene that he's not well known. Dude, I'm just lost for names today. My mind goes to crap sometimes. Um, I'll bring you the name up, and he's really good for consulting as far as technical and business consulting, and he's not that expensive, but he knows his stuff. He's had several pest control businesses he's owned. He teaches at UF at the entomology department for pest control courses. I met the guy. He's an awesome guy. I got an interview with him, and now, bro, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, brother. I know you're a good guy, but my train of thought is gone. Those are guys that I have in my circle. I have a very small circle of people that I actually trust and believe. They all have their differences of opinions.
Yeah.
But I will venture to say that if I can get them to agree 80% of the time, I'm golden.
Perfect,
You know,
perfect,
so
perfect.
if you got any questions, bro, if not, I'll say goodbye, and we're good, man.
I want to thank you for taking the morning, man. I know
Nah,
you're
man.
busy and working and everything. I mean, you're my mentor, sir. You're my mentor.
I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't.
I mean, you're what you offer makes sense. Simple as that.
Yeah, and it's no nonsense, really. We're not pie in the sky. We're dealing with reality. There are hard issues to deal with for a lot of us. A lot of people are going through a lot of stress, disease, just like you got sick. I got burned out. I got a couple of guys that are dealing with a ton of anxiety. I think I spend most of my time ministering to people than I spend selling.
So this right here is it be on your blog later on, or
yeah, we're gonna post this probably next week.
Okay.
It'll be up probably maybe next Wednesday. My Eric, my media guy, he handles all this. I just send it to him. I just talk, bro. I'm a talking head. I don't do anything. But it'll be up.
If I want to see it on Facebook, I just go on your page, or how does it work?
It's going to be on every social media channel that you can think of. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on Twitter. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on my website. It'll be plastered everywhere. So yeah, just send me a text with the correct name of your company. Make sure your name is spelled right. I don't want to do that. And then the city you're in, so I can geotag this for you. So that way it'll show up in the area and help you. That way some people might see it and say, hey, this is great. I'd like to hire this guy. But yeah, it'll be everywhere. And I'll send you a link anyway. Once we got it up in the air, I'll have Eric get me the links, and I'll send it to you.
When you come to see us, man, over here in San Antonio.
Bro, I want to start doing some traveling in the next couple of years. I want to take some time off to enjoy what I've built. I'm going to be doing some local training. I'm going to be traveling locally, doing CEU training next year. I wanted to do it this year. Too many things happen. I don't know if you've been following a lot of people that do, my mom's death, the divorce, everything, buying a house. It just got overwhelming. So I put a lot of things on the back burner to allow me time to recover from all that and just get a perspective on life.
So you're relaxing outside your house the other day.
Yeah, I do that a ton. I come home from work early. I spend time with my kid. I'll spend 2 to 3 hours out there every day. I'm taking time for myself. Good. And that's how I haven't done so many things, but I want to start doing my CEU training, which I'm going to get it state certified so I can do it live and then also online. And then I've got an opportunity to travel a little bit as I go to different cities to just leisure and then meet people. I'm planning on going maybe June. My girlfriend and I were planning on going. She wants to go up to Atlanta, Georgia, to Marietta. And I told her, yeah, I like to go. And then I'll, do a couple of podcasts from there, meet a couple of guys, learn from some of them that are there. Maybe get to meet Paul Bello again, because he lives up there in Georgia. So a lot of things I want to do that my business now allows me to do the time. I basically wanted a lifestyle, build a lifestyle for myself that I didn't have to be here all the time. And I'm good. Financially, I'm okay. I'm not struggling. I'm not hurting. Not doing, I'm not buying the yacht yet, but, I got to buy my home this year in the middle of a pandemic when the market is crazy. So it's just the way it is, brother. But yeah, I want to be doing this. So whenever I travel and say, hey, let's go for a weekend, let's travel out to here, I'll let people know and we'll hang out together, brother.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you very much. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome, my friend. Have a great one,
Bye.
buddy.
Bye bye, everybody. You too.
Bye.